Chapter 2:21. Ling Tian walked out of the tent and immediately restored his mysterious immortal identity. The people of the Miao family looked at the looming Ling Tian and were shocked. They felt a mysterious color from this person. However, Miao Xiaozue frowned slightly at this moment. She never believed that there were immortals in this world, and this person just stood there far away, without a trace of aura fluctuation, and it was impossible to tell the strength of his strength. He suspected that this person was pretending, and it was very likely that he was someone Ling Feng had found, and he was bluffing here at this moment. However, she was not sure of her thoughts now, and did not dare to speak rashly, so she could only continue to observe. "What do you want to find me for?" Ling Tian glanced at the people of the Miao family and found that everyone here had a strong aura. If Ling Feng had not been behind him, he really could not withstand this pressure. Qin Huiguang looked at Ling Tian with respect and said, "Master, it's like this. I said I was your disciple, and my clansmen didn't believe it, so I brought them to see you." Ling Tian snorted coldly and said angrily, "You disturbed my teacher's rest for such a small matter. You really don't know any rules." Qin Huiguang was stunned and explained quickly, "Master, please forgive me. My people don't believe you are an immortal. I was really angry, so I disturbed your rest so late." Ling Tian laughed. "You think my teacher is a liar, right? Well, then I will give you a chance to verify it. Let the strongest person in your Miao family come out and attack me. I won't fight back. If he can make me retreat half a step, he will win," Ling Tian said lightly. Qin Huiguang's face was delighted. Immediately stood up from the ground and said to Miao Xiaozue with a provocative look, "You don't believe it, so I will give you a chance and let you do it yourself." Miao Xiaozue glanced at him, kept silent, and walked directly towards Ling Tian. Ling Tian looked at a young woman who was slowly walking towards him, and his eyes lit up. This woman has a pretty face. Although she is not the kind of woman who makes people stunning at first sight, she exudes a gentle temperament, just like a lady from ancient times, dignified and elegant. Ling Tian felt that his heart seemed to beat faster. Is this the feeling of being moved? But Ling Tian soon interrupted this idea. His strength was low, and his appearance was a little disappointing. How could others look up to him? Ling Tian restrained his thoughts and quickly recovered his composure. Miao Xiaozue stood 5 meters away from Ling Tian and said calmly, "Hello, senior. I am the person in charge of the Miao family this time. Sorry for the offense." "Well, do it." Ling Tian nodded slightly. Miao Xiaozue made a strange shape with her hands. Her eyes became sharp in an instant, and her mouth whispered some language that others could not understand. Then, a small white snake slowly crawled out of Miao Xiaozue's sleeve. The small snake was only about 30 centimeters long and the thickness of chopsticks. The white snake crawled to the ground and stood up. Miao Xiaozue chanted an unknown spell, her voice getting louder and sharper. As the last word was spoken, the white snake began to grow slowly and finally gradually turned into a giant python with a length of 20 meters and a diameter of half a meter. The giant python was all white from top to bottom. Even the pupils were white. All the onlookers showed a trace of horror. The aura exuded by this white snake was actually the strength of the emperor. I didn't expect that this woman was actually a beast master. It's terrible. Under the same level of strength, the power user is not the strength of the beast at all. The beast is not only large in size, but also strong in strength, and its speed is not inferior to that of humans. Some beasts have many special abilities that make humans defenseless. Everyone looked at this beautiful woman with fear. If she hadn't exposed her beast today, if she met it on the battlefield, she would definitely be very passive. Miao Xiaozue herself was also very helpless. After coming to the Genesis Mountain, she had never used her special ability once, just wanting to use it as a trump card. Unexpectedly, she was exposed in front of everyone today. Although she had stronger beasts, once her identity as a beast master was exposed, other people would definitely be on guard against her in the future battles, and the effect would be greatly reduced. All this was done by Miao Huiguang, the big fool. On the other side, the white giant python looked at Ling Tian spitting out white tongues, looking at Ling Tian with cold eyes, and a bloodthirsty light flashed in its cold eyes. The white snake stared at Ling Feng and suddenly launched an attack, and its huge body instantly rushed to Ling Tian. In front of Ling Tian, it opened its bloody mouth, showing two sharp snake teeth, and bit Ling Tian fiercely. Ling Tian was already standing there, without any intention of attacking, and saw that the white python was about to bite Ling Tian's neck. Everyone was sweating coldly. If you were bitten by this giant python, even if you were a strong man at the peak of the emperor level, you would probably be half crippled. But the next second, something happened that made them drop their jaws. When the giant python bit Ling Tian's neck, it actually went straight through Ling Tian's body, as if it was illusory. The white giant python also looked at Ling Tian with a puzzled look. It was clear that he had just bitten the opponent's neck, but when he was about to get close, he pounced directly into the air. The white giant python adjusted its body shape and bit Ling Tian's neck again. The same thing happened again. Ling Tian was still standing there intact, and the giant python pounced into the air again. Ling Tian looked at the giant python with a look of contempt. The giant python, which had already awakened its intelligence, was immediately angry when it saw Ling Tian's expression and began to attack the human frantically. But no matter how it attacked, from which angle, it could not attack the human. Miao Xiaothe looked at the mysterious man in front of her, and her heart was already horrified. She didn't understand why her beast couldn't attack the other party at all. He was standing there, but it felt like he was far away. Ling Feng in the tent also saw Ling Tian use his superpowers in battle for the first time, and he was also surprised. Although this superpower is an unsolvable existence for other people, it is not a problem for Ling Feng at all. Any of his gravity field and mental control skills can crack this superpower. However, this superpower is really amazing. If Ling Tian is strengthened in terms of offense, he can completely ignore attacks in battle. On the battlefield, Miao Xiaotsue saw that his attack could not cause any harm to Ling Tian, and then took back his beast. He saluted Ling Tian respectfully and said, "Senior's methods are admirable. I would like to ask the senior to teach me." Chapter 2:22. Hearing this, Ling Tian's expression suddenly changed. He really didn't expect that this woman would do such a thing to him. If he really let him take action, wouldn't it be exposed? How can he pretend? Qin Huiguang stood up at this time, frowned, and said to Miao Xiaotsue with an angry face, "Miao Xiaotsue, what do you mean, dare to be so unreasonable to my master? Apologize to my master quickly." The other people in the Miao family also looked worried. If the mysterious strong man on the opposite side gets angry and attacks their Miao family, they will be in danger. The middle-aged man holding the soft sword also quickly persuaded, "Miss, everyone has seen the strength of this senior. You should stop. If the senior gets angry, it will be a bad ending." Others also persuaded Miao Xiaotsue to apologize to Ling Tian quickly. But at this time, Miao Xiaotsue still stood there without speaking, looking at Ling Tian with a sharp eye. She just wanted to test whether this person was real or fake. She still didn't believe that there were immortals. This person was either a powerful psychic or had a special power. So, she had to test this person's true strength. Otherwise, she would not give up. Ling Tian was in a dilemma at this time, not knowing what to do. He didn't want to be exposed for the immortal image he had created with great difficulty, and he still had a little affection for this woman. Miao Xiaotsue looked at Ling Tian standing there without saying anything and continued to ask questions. "Senior, are you unwilling to attack me, or are you afraid? How dare you?" Miao Huiguang walked in front of Miao Xiaotsue angrily. He had no doubt about Ling Tian's identity, and he would never allow Miao Xiaotsue to be disrespectful to his master. If the master was angry about this matter and affected his impression in the master's heart and expelled him from the sect in anger, wouldn't he lose a great opportunity? "If you dare to disrespect my master again, don't blame me for being rude to you," Miao Huiguang threatened. Miao Xiaotsue looked at him coldly, not knowing why this guy was so stupid. "If your master is really an immortal, I am willing to be killed," Miao Xiaotsue said coldly. "You!" Miao Huiguang was so angry that he couldn't speak. Ling Tian shook his head slowly and sighed. At this moment, Ling Feng walked out of the tent slowly. "Brother Feng, I really can't pretend anymore," Ling Tian said with a sad face and some regret. Ling Feng smiled slightly and patted Ling Tian on the shoulder. "Okay, you can pretend to be cool. That's enough." Miao Huiguang saw that his master was standing behind someone like a little brother at this time. As if struck by lightning, he quickly asked loudly, "Master, what's wrong with you?" Ling Tian returned to his original demeanor at this time and said in a teasing tone, "My good disciple, why don't you kneel down and kowtow to your master? Ha ha ha. Forget it. I'll tell you the truth. I'm not a 9-day immortal at all. I'm just teasing you. I'm just an ordinary superpower. My boss is Ling Xiao." Miao Huiguang was stunned in place, his eyes were dazed, and he didn't recover for a while. The murderous intent in his eyes gradually rose, and he couldn't help but clench his fists. When he thought about how he had just been fooled around, and he knelt down and kowtowed to him several times, he was furious. When had he ever been fooled like this since he was a child? "Asshole! I'm going to tear you into pieces." Miao Huiguang was so angry that he gritted his teeth and looked at Ling Tian. His eyes were bloodshot. Miao Xiaocui no longer paid attention to Ling Tian, but looked at Ling Feng. Her expression was full of solemnity. She felt an extremely dangerous aura from Ling Feng. Although Ling Feng did not attack, he just stood there and gave her a great sense of oppression. Miao Xiaocui concluded that this person's strength must be above the emperor level, and none of them here could be his opponent. Ling Feng also looked at Miao Xiaocui at this time. This woman is very smart, and she is not afraid of danger. Her strength is not low, much better than Miao Huiguang, who is so smart. "You are Ling Feng." Miao Huiguang looked at Ling Feng with a gloomy face, and the murderous aura permeated his body. Ling Feng looked at him lightly and said with a joking face, "Yes, I am Ling Feng. Why do you also want to worship me as your master?" Miao Huiguang felt that there was a depression in his chest, and he couldn't spit it out. He stared at Ling Feng intently. Only by killing him could he spit it out. He clenched the spear in his hand and roared, "Go to hell!" He held the spear in one hand and rushed towards Ling Feng quickly, leaving deep scars wherever he passed at a half-meter pit. A strong momentum burst out from his body like a wild beast. The spear flashed in the air, and the white spear instantly emitted a cold light. The spear in his hand was like an arrow from a string, attacking Ling Feng's face with a force like a bamboo. The spear whistled past, and in the process of friction with the air, bursts of sonic booms were produced, and the tip of the spear gradually turned red. The crowd watching was shocked. It was also the first time they saw Miao Huiguang fighting, and his strength was so strong. Although his strength was an emperor-level ability, the destructive power he showed was definitely above the emperor level. The two people who attacked the Miao family in succession refreshed their judgment of the Miao family's strength. The strength they showed was much stronger than what they had shown before. Many strong men from other forces frowned. The Miao family will be their strong opponent in tomorrow's treasure hunt, and the number of people they brought with them this time is large. No one knows if there are any hidden strong men among them. On the field, Ling Feng looked at Miao Huiguang, who was rushing towards him quickly, and stretched out his palm to slap him in the air. Miao Huiguang suddenly felt his hair stand on end, and cold sweat broke out on his back. He subconsciously wanted to dodge, but it was too late. Miao Huiguang turned into a ball of blood mist. The scene instantly became terrifying. Everyone was stunned to see the ball of red blood on the field. Just now, there was a living person standing there, and he was a powerful emperor-level supernatural. In a short moment, after a loud bang, it turned into a pool of blood mist, without even a dregs left. Everyone turned their eyes to Ling Feng. At this time, Ling Feng was still standing there, looking harmless, but in their eyes, Ling Feng seemed like a devil at this moment. A messenger from hell? Even a strong man who surpassed the emperor level was still vulnerable to him. Before, the other two strong men of Miao family were killed instantly. They thought Ling Feng's strength might be at the peak of the emperor level, and he could kill those with weaker abilities in seconds by relying on mysterious abilities. but now they can't see clearly. Chapter 2:23. They also couldn't understand what level Ling Feng's strength was. Anyway, no one present could kill Miao Huiguang in 1 second. At this time, the other people in the Miao family looked panicked and terrified. Miao Xiaozue felt a chill in her heart at this moment. What kind of existence did their Miao family provoke? It was the first time he saw Ling Feng kill someone in 1 second today, and she couldn't calm down for a long time. Who else wants to take action? Ling Feng's voice was not loud, but everyone present heard it clearly. The scene was silent, so quiet that you could hear your own bang 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 heartbeat. Ling Feng looked at Miao Xiaozue with a hint of coldness in his voice. Do you Miao family still want to take revenge? Let's settle this grudge today. Miao Xiaozue took a deep breath, suppressed the fear in her heart, and said calmly, Our Miao family will not seek revenge again. This matter was originally our fault. They deserve to die. Ling Feng looked at Miao Xiaozue with some surprise. I didn't expect this woman to say these words. It's really not simple. However, Ling Feng didn't intend to let them go so easily. They were the ones who provoked him first. Now the initiative is in his hands. He has suffered such a great injustice. He must give some compensation. Ling Feng walked towards the people of the Miao family. Except Miao Xiaozue, everyone in the Miao family looked pale and subconsciously took a step back. Only Miao Xiaozue stood there with a normal expression, although she was very nervous in her heart. But she couldn't retreat. He was the leader and backbone of the team. If even she was afraid, then the morale of the team would be scattered, and there would be no good results in the subsequent actions. Ling Feng looked at Miao Xiaozue with some appreciation. He was responsible and courageous. He was indeed a talent. Since you are not going to take revenge, let's talk about compensation. They took the initiative to provoke me, which is equivalent to your Miao family declaring war on me. Now that you are the defeated party, what are you going to use to exchange your lives? Ling Feng said in a relaxed tone. Miao Xiaozue lowered her head and pondered for a while, with a trace of struggle in her eyes. She took out 2 exotic fruits from her sleeves. This is the best material I can take out, and it is also the only 2 exotic fruits in our Miao family at present. I wonder if it's okay. Ling Feng looked at the 2 exotic fruits in her hand, and a gleam of light flashed in his eyes. These 2 exotic fruits look like mutated apples, with a ruddy body and a burst of fragrance. Just smelling them makes people drool. Ling Feng took the 2 exotic fruits in her hand, took a simple look at them, and put them directly into the space. Ling Feng waved at Miao Xiaozue. Since you were so sincere, let's forget about this matter today. You'd better behave yourself in the future. If you dare to have evil thoughts towards me again, I guarantee that none of you will be able to leave the Creation Mountain. At the end, Ling Feng's tone gradually became cold. Miao Xiaozue trembled, and she felt extremely angry and aggrieved. When had their Miao family ever suffered such humiliation? Their own people were killed, and they had to use strange fruits to eliminate the anger of others. But in order to survive, she had to do this. Don't dare. Please rest assured that we will not be rude to you again. Miao Xiaozue bowed deeply to Ling Feng. Then she left quickly with the Miao family. The other onlookers also scattered. Ling Feng's ability was too evil, and they didn't dare to offend him in front of him. The area around Ling Feng became larger again. Even if other places were almost crowded, they didn't dare to get too close to Ling Feng, afraid that he would turn into a blood mist if he was not careful. Ling Tian, who was standing behind and watching the game, said excitedly, Brother Feng, you are so handsome. Shen Hong, who was hiding behind the tent, also looked at Ling Feng with admiration and said, Brother Ling, you are so awesome and so impressive. Ling Feng smiled slightly. Basic operation, you will be like me in the future. Wang Long, a captain of our base, was about the same strength as you before, but worse than you. Now he is already an emperor-level strongman. Come on. Ling Feng gave the 2 of them a chicken blood and went back to the tent to sleep. Ling Tian and Shen Hong were excited at this time, and Ling Tian's words gave them great motivation. Both of them gave each other an encouraging look. At the same time, in the secret base of the Creation Alliance, The 7 masters of the Creation Alliance were sitting at a round table, discussing Ling Feng's affairs. They were wearing black cloaks, and their entire faces were wrapped in black masks, looking extremely mysterious. One the gray-haired old man had a hint of mania in his expression. Who is this Ling Feng? How dare he kill our people in public? What is the strength of his god of war base? Why is he so arrogant? A middle-aged man with a fat body said in a deep voice. This god of war base is in Handong province. Ling Feng is the founder of this base. This Ling Feng is not simple and has strong strength. Just now I got the news that the 3 emperor-level strongmen of the Miao family all died in his hands. The most important thing is that all 3 people were killed in seconds. The white-haired old man's expression moved slightly. Instant kill? It seems that this guy is also a saint-level strongman, but it is not okay to provoke our Creation Alliance even if he is a saint-level. We are not without saint-level in the Creation Alliance. We will kill him after the meeting. The murderous intent in the old man's eyes flashed. No! At this time, a senior sitting in the main seat said in a hollow voice. This person is the leader of the Creation Alliance, Luo Wuji, and he is also the strongest person in the entire Creation Alliance. Why? Although he is a saint, can't we 7 saint-level superpowers kill him? If we don't kill him, where is the dignity of our Creation Alliance? The old man in white said with obvious dissatisfaction in his tone. Luo Wuji closed his eyes slightly and said lightly. Ling Feng is just a small figure, insignificant. Don't expose our strength. We have spent so much energy for this operation. Don't let a Ling Feng affect our entire plan. Then will we let this Ling Feng do whatever he wants in our territories? The white-haired old man said unhappily. Luo Wuji snorted coldly and showed a creepy smile. Don't worry, he can't run away. Once he enters the Genesis Mountain, how can he run away? When our plan is completed, killing him will be like killing a dog. Tomorrow, these powerful people will start to go into the mountains to look for exotic fruits. There must be no mistakes. You are responsible for your own areas. If the plan fails, you know what will happen to us. Everyone was shocked when they heard this, and a trace of madness appeared in their eyes. Chapter 2:24. The next morning, Ling Feng was awakened by the noisy voices outside. He rubbed his sleepy eyes, walked outside the tent, and was startled. At this time, the small square was densely packed with people, and even his own territory became much smaller. The number of people increased several times compared to yesterday afternoon. Ling Feng estimated that there were at least 300 people here, and the small road outside the square was also full of people. Unexpectedly, after a night, the number of people here actually increased. What Ling Feng didn't know was that the surge in the number of people here had a lot to do with him. After he killed 2 guards of the Creation Alliance yesterday, the Creation Alliance did not continue to send other people to guard, which led to many people from the small base breaking in directly. People die for money, birds die for food. Although everyone knows that there are many dangers in the Creation Mountain, even if ordinary superpowers come in, the risks are greater than the benefits. However, once they get the exotic fruit, their strength will increase dramatically. An ordinary exotic fruit can make a superpower breakthrough to a superpower. If they are lucky enough to get a special fruit, it is possible to directly break through to the king level or even the emperor level. Under the huge temptation, these superpowers rushed in one after another. Ling Feng looked at the square like a vegetable market, with a lot of people, quarrels, laughter, and some people fighting because of a little friction. Ling Feng was glad that after he established his prestige yesterday, the space on his side was still quite spacious. More spacious than the territories of all the major forces. Ling Feng simply stretched his body and took out some breakfast from the space. As his team had grown by several people, the amount of food Ling Feng prepared was much larger. A large table was filled with steamed buns, fried dough sticks, fried rice, steamed dumplings, rice noodle rolls, egg pancakes, etc. Since the outdoor space was relatively cold, Ling Feng also prepared a heated table to ensure that the food would not get cold. Ling Feng took out a mobile power supply from the space and powered up the table. As soon as breakfast was ready, Ling Tian came out to smell the smell. When he saw the breakfast on the table, His eyes were wide open. Shen Hong and Shen Yin, the two siblings, also got up early and helped Ling Feng clean up. Elderly Zheng Sanbao went out for a walk early in the morning. After everyone arrived, Ling Feng took out a basket of steamed buns and placed it in front of the Black Panther. Since the Black Panther is now in a smaller version, his appetite is not so large, so he can also save his energy. Let's eat. After Ling Feng finished speaking, he took a basket of soup dumplings and started eating. Others started to pick up their chopsticks. Shen Hong picked up an egg pancake and started eating it with a mouthful of oil, accompanied by refreshing pickles. Ling Tian also slurped a bowl of spicy soup with a satisfied look on his face. Ling Feng's rich breakfast soon attracted the attention of others, and many people showed greedy looks. Of course, all these people had just arrived in the middle of the night or in the morning. Those powerful people were shocked by Ling Feng's decisive killing and did not dare to have any improper thoughts. Not far from Ling Feng, a young woman with an exaggerated figure and gorgeous clothes looked at the buns in Ling Feng's hand and kept swallowing her saliva. A middle-aged man standing next to him also looked envious and licked his lips. "Brother Zhang, I also want to eat buns and drink soy milk." The young woman hugged the man's arm and rubbed her body against the man's hand. The man's body trembled, and a part of his body immediately turned on the guard mode. The man named Brother Zhang said with some embarrassment, "We don't know that group of people. If we go there rashly, it may cause unnecessary trouble." A trace of disgust flashed in the eyes of the young woman. "You coward. You don't even have this little courage. When I play poker with you every day, how can you be so brave?" The young woman glanced around and immediately saw a familiar figure, and she was happy. He immediately let go of the man's arm, twisted his slender waist, and walked toward the fat man with a beard, shouting intimacy. "Brother Ma, what a coincidence. How can I see you here?" The young woman looked at the bearded man with a charming look. The bearded man's eyes lit up immediately after seeing the young woman, and his eyes kept wandering on the young woman's body, and his two little eyes wanted to stick to her directly. Especially the broad mind of the young woman made him unable to move his eyes away. The young woman took the fat man's arm in a very familiar manner, twisted her body a few times involuntarily, and twisted around on the bearded man's body. The bearded man immediately became a little distracted, and he wanted to have a spiritual communication with her immediately. The bearded man's fat hands pinched the young woman's buttocks a few times dishonestly, and said with a lewd smile, "Miss you, Brother Ma. Brother Ma hasn't talked to you all night for a long time." The young woman pretended to be shy and hit the bearded man's chest with her little pink fist, saying in a low voice, "Oh, you big bad guy, I was bullied to death by you last time." The bearded man was so itchy in his heart by the young woman's combo that he looked like a pig. Brother Zhang, who was far away, saw that the young woman was flirting with other men in front of him, and her hands and feet were not honest. He immediately became angry and walked over angrily. He yelled at the bearded man, "Fat beard, you are flirting with my woman in front of me. Isn't that a bit too bullying?" Fat beard looked at him with disdain. "Zhang Chao, what's wrong with bullying you? Who do you think you are? Besides, you are her man. He is a good friend of all of us. Get out of here." Zhang Chao's face turned red, and he was shaking with anger. Then he turned his eyes to the young woman, with a begging look in his eyes, and said, "Xiao Ai, don't you love me anymore? Didn't we still—" "Shut up." The young woman interrupted him immediately. Her tone was very cold. The young woman looked at him with a sneer on her face. "How can you be so naive? We are all adults now. Don't tell me whether you love me or not. I don't believe in love anymore. Get out of here, you coward. I feel sick just looking at you and want to vomit." Zhang Chao looked at the woman in front of him. He didn't expect her to say such vicious words. They were still sworn to each other yesterday, but how come she became like this in a blink of an eye? I used a lot of materials for her to improve her strength, but ended up like this. Zhang Chao looked at the young woman with empty eyes and turned away with a lonely look. The bearded man looked at Zhang Chao with a smug look on his face as he left, and he straightened his chest like a proud fat peacock. The young woman leaned over the fat man's ear and gently exhaled a breath of hot air. Her voice was low and charming. Give me a whole bowl of spicy soup. Chapter 2:25. The bearded man was stunned. Hot and spicy soup? Where can I get you hot and spicy soup in this freezing cold weather? The young woman pointed her jade finger in the direction of Ling Feng and the others. At this time, Ling Feng took out 3 baskets of steamed buns from the space, which made the young woman's stomach growl. Brother Ma, look how well they eat. Even the dogs have hot, big steamed buns to eat. This is too irritating. Isn't this obviously messing with people's mentality? The bearded man followed the direction of the young woman's finger and saw that Ling Feng and the others' table was full of rich food. As a senior foodie, his round belly is the best proof. Even after the end of the world, his body shape has not changed. Instead, he has become fatter and fatter. The bearded man swallowed a big mouthful of saliva. He only ate a baked sweet potato in the morning, which was baked at the base. It was frozen like an ice cube when he ate it. Seeing Ling Feng and his friends eating hot breakfast, he was a little excited. He decided to go over and get some food. If he couldn't get it, he would just grab some. Anyway, he often did this kind of thing. Moreover, he found that these people didn't seem to be from a big base and should not have any backers. After making up his mind, the bearded man hugged the young woman and walked towards Ling Feng's camp and said to the young woman confidently, "Don't worry. I will let you eat buns and drink a bowl of spicy soup later." The young woman looked happy and said softly, "Brother Ma, you are so nice. I will reward you well tonight." The two of them walked in front of Ling Feng and his friends. "Brother, the food is good," the bearded man said with a familiar look. The bearded man looked at the tempting food on the table. When he got closer, the smell of meat hit him, and he couldn't help swallowing a few more times. Ling Feng looked up and glanced at the bearded man and the young woman beside him. The young woman looked at Ling Feng straight at this moment and gave Ling Feng a wink without being noticed. Ling Feng frowned and said in a low voice, "What do you want to talk to me about? If you have something to say, please speak quickly and don't disturb us while we are eating." The bearded man's smile froze. He didn't expect that this guy would be so disrespectful to him, but he said with a smile, "Brother, you have a personality. Let me introduce myself. My name is Ma Zori, the commander of Longxiang Base. Our Longxiang Base is a subsidiary base of Longping Base." When the bearded man mentioned Longping Base, he deliberately emphasized his tone, and the threat was self-evident. Ling Feng sneered in his heart. "If you didn't mention Longping Base, it would be fine. Maybe I could let you go, but if you have a relationship with Longping Base, then I won't be polite. You, Maku, can't walk away today." Ling Feng pretended to be surprised and said, "What, you are from Longping Base? Oh, I'm sorry." The bearded man saw Ling Feng change his indifferent demeanor and immediately showed an arrogant look, and a trace of contempt flashed in his eyes. "I came here for nothing, just want to borrow some food. We haven't eaten since this morning. I think your food is quite rich, so I want to borrow some. What do you think?" The bearded man asked for it, but his tone was very tough. Ling Feng smiled slightly and said lightly, "No." The bearded man's expression changed. I had just moved out my backers, and this guy dared to go against me. It was obviously intentional. "Boy, do you want to go against Longping Base? Do you believe that I can turn your base into a flat ground with just one phone call?" The bearded man said with a gloomy face. Hearing this, Ling Feng immediately stood up and said loudly, "You Longping Base are really overbearing. If we don't give you food, you will destroy our base. Is there still a king's law?" Ling Feng's voice was so loud that the surroundings became quiet in an instant, and everyone looked at the bearded man. Ling Feng was angry and continued, "We just want to have a simple breakfast. Do you think that Longping Base, a big force, still needs our little things? Never mind. We are all from small bases. We can't afford to offend them." Hearing Ling Feng's words, the people from other small bases looked at the bearded man with mockery in their eyes. Their small bases have always survived in the cracks and have been bullied by these big forces. Some people who felt the same began to speak for Ling Feng. "You Longping Base is too bullying. Don't you think we are small bases as human beings?" "That's right. They're used to being overbearing, relying on their strong power. They don't treat us small bases as human beings." Without reasoning, He forcibly requisitioned more than 10,000 kilograms of rice from our base. The superpowers in our base were also forcibly taken away by them. The bearded man's face was livid at this moment, and his chest was heaving because of his anger. I didn't expect that Ling Feng would be so cruel. In public, he stood on the moral high ground to accuse me, making me in a dilemma. I have become the target of public criticism. The most terrible thing is that I have also affected the reputation of Longping Base. I just wanted to eat a bun, but how did it turn out like this in the end? If the people in the base knew that I had ruined the reputation of the base, would I still have a good ending? But what made him even more uncomfortable was still to come. The young woman said proudly at this moment, "What's wrong with us bullying you? The law of the jungle is the law of nature. If you are too weak, it is the original sin. If you are strong, you can do the same. This is how we do things in Longping Base." After the young woman finished speaking, she immediately reached out to grab the buns on the table. Ling Tian wanted to get up with an angry look on his face, but was immediately stopped by Ling Feng with a look. The other people at the table also understood and did not move. The young woman picked up a meat bun and ate it directly. She also looked at the people around her provocatively, showing an expression of enjoyment, and said loudly, "This bun is delicious, fragrant and soft." Ling Feng looked at him coldly with a smile on his lips. This is the effect he wanted, to ruin the reputation of Longping Base and let everyone know that Longping Base is an unreasonable and bullying thing. In this way, their Longping Base will definitely be hostile to other forces in the subsequent treasure hunt, which will also affect their subsequent actions. Fatu saw that the young woman not only ate the buns, but also provoked her. This was simply adding fuel to the fire. He wanted to slap her to death. He saw that the onlookers around him all looked at him with hatred, wishing to beat him to death immediately. The bearded man trembled and felt that he was going to die. Ling Feng felt that the matter was almost done, so he said loudly, "Although we are a small base, we also have our own dignity. No matter how powerful your Longping Base is, we dare to show our swords. Who wants to show our swords with our Longping Base?" Just then a majestic voice came. Chapter 226. Ling Feng looked towards the voice. I saw a middle-aged man with a dignified appearance walking towards the square. The man exuded the aura of a superior. The crowd in the square spontaneously made way for him. Behind the man was a team of 100 people, all wearing uniform clothes and marching in unison. Each person exuded a powerful aura. Many people in the crowd immediately recognized his identity. It's actually Long Shuai, the commander of Longping Base. He's here today, too. The Dragon Guards are here, too. It seems that Longping Base has invested a lot of money this time, hoping to get a great opportunity in the Creation Mountain. I heard that the Dragon Guards are all composed of king-level superpowers. I don't know if it's true. If it's true, it's too scary. This Jiangnan province is originally the territory of Longping Base. It is said that this time Longping Base has said that it will keep all the exotic fruits in Jiangnan province. Ling Feng's expression changed when he heard the words of the onlookers. I didn't expect that he just wanted to destroy the name of Longping Base, but in the end he directly blew up the big boss. Ling Feng's eyes swept over Long Outyin without any concealment, and his expression was normal. Long Outyin frowned slightly. This person dared to look at him with that kind of eyes just now, which was obviously a provocation. You just said you would show your sword to our Longping Base. You are so arrogant. Which base is that? Long Outyin asked with a dignified look. Hupanzi was overjoyed to see that his immediate superior had come. I thought it would be difficult to get away today, but I didn't expect that there would be another turn in the end. It seems that I can escape again today. Hupanzi immediately said respectfully to Long Outyin. Long Shuai, this person is spreading rumors and slandering the reputation of our Longping Base. You must make a decision for me. Yes, Long Shuai, we just came here to borrow some food, but he directly said that our Longping Base bullied them. The young woman also echoed on the side and showed a pitiful look, trying to attract Long Outyin's attention. Ling Feng smiled coldly and said meaningfully, I am Ling Feng from the God of War Base. I don't know if you have heard of me. Long Outyen frowned slightly, and a trace of murderous intent flashed in his eyes. "It's you. Ha, great." Long Outyen didn't expect that he was Ling Feng. This guy who made him lose face dared to appear in front of him openly, and dared to reveal his identity, which clearly showed that he was not afraid of him. He had been angry about Ling Feng's matter for the past 2 days, thinking about how to kill this guy, who made him hate him and destroy the God of War base by the way. Now, there is no need to think of a way, just let him stay here as fertilizer for the exotic fruit. Ling Feng looked normal and said to Long Outyen, "Your people are too unruly. Why can't I say something?" Long Outyen looked at Ling Feng with disdain, and didn't take Ling Feng seriously at all. He was an emperor-level strongman of a super large base, and the base was even more powerful. Although he was just a pawn pushed to the front, he was also the helmsman of the base in public. What kind of person was he, Ling Feng? "We don't need you to comment on how we do things. You are not qualified." Fat Hu looked at Ling Feng with contempt and said arrogantly, "Our Long Shuai is here. If you dare to touch me today, you will be an enemy of the base. Boy, let's see what you can do." Ling Feng sneered. "In that case, I can only solve it in my own way." Long Outyen's mouth curled up slightly. He didn't expect that Ling Feng was still trying to save face for himself. You just didn't give him this face. "I want to see how you can solve it today." Ling Feng glanced at Fatty Hu and said with cold and ruthless eyes, "Don't provoke others casually in the next life." Fat Hu's face was filled with a bright smile. "Ah, you can ah." Fat Hu screamed, and his whole body began to twist slowly, and his bones began to crackle. Fatty Hu felt that his bones were being crushed by a huge force, and the force was getting stronger and stronger. Fatty Hu was terrified. He really didn't expect Ling Feng to dare to kill him, especially in front of Long Shuai. How could this man be so stubborn? In order to teach Fatty Hu a lesson, Ling Feng didn't kill him instantly. Instead, he used the gravity field to slowly add gravity to Fatty Hu's body, letting him personally feel his bones being broken into pieces. The young woman beside him heard Fatty Hu's heartbreaking screams and fell to the ground in fear. She was shaking all over. There was a stream of liquid flowing out of her legs that he was frightened to death. Long Outyen stared at Ling Feng with a pair of cold eyes, and an unimaginable brutality filled every inch of his skin. Ling Feng slaughtered his subordinates in front of him, which was a naked slap in the face. Long Outyen laughed in anger. "Okay, very good, Ling Feng, you have guts. I look forward to seeing you inside the Creation Mountain. You'd better not let me run into you. And you'd better pray that your base can survive in the next few days." Long Outyen wanted to kill Ling Feng directly, but he also knew that Ling Feng's strength was not low, and it would cost a lot to kill Ling Feng. His main task this time was to collect exotic fruits, and he couldn't let Ling Feng affect the plan above. Ling Feng's body instantly burst out with a strong killing intent, and his gravity field directly pressed on Long Outyen's body. Long Outyen felt as if a mountain had suddenly pressed down on him, making his back overwhelmed, his knees trembling slightly, and his legs bent as if he wanted to kneel down. He gritted his teeth and insisted on not kneeling down. As the commander of the base, he could never kneel down in public. However, the power in his body became stronger and stronger, and his legs began to tremble violently and uncontrollably. The long guard standing beside him soon discovered Long Outyen's abnormality and came forward to check. "Long Shuai, what's wrong with you?" Long Outyen's face was red, and his forehead was soaked with sweat. He shook his head with difficulty and signaled his subordinates to leave. Ling Feng looked at him coldly and increased the gravity again. Long Outyen finally couldn't hold on and spit out a mouthful of blood. Bang! With a loud bang, his knees hit the ground hard. All the onlookers looked at Long Outyen in shock. Long Outyen, the commander of Longping Base, who was of an extremely noble status, actually knelt down in front of Ling Feng in public. This was too shocking. Long Outyen had just threatened Ling Feng. Why did he suddenly kneel down? Who on earth is this Ling Feng? He made the superpower of Longping Base bend its knees. Could it be that there is a big boss behind this Ling Feng? Chapter 227. Long Outyin raised his head with all his strength and looked at Ling Feng. Ling Feng looked at him with a playful look on his face and said in a cold tone, "I'll give you this sentence too. You'd better pray that my base is fine, otherwise I will flatten your Longping base." The onlookers were dumbfounded. They couldn't believe their ears. Long Outyin was threatened, and seeing Long Outyin's appearance, he didn't seem to dare to refute. When everyone looked at Ling Feng, there was a strong sense of fear in their eyes. At this time, Long Outyin was angry and scared. As the leader of Jiangnan Province, he had the final say in the entire Jiangnan Province. Today, he lost face in the eyes of so many people. How can he survive in the underworld in the future? Another thing is that he was very scared. Ling Feng's strength was too strong. He didn't know how Ling Feng attacked him at all. He felt that he was about to be crushed to death. He now had no doubt about Ling Feng's strength. He could definitely kill him easily. He was really scared. Ling Feng was too strong, and his moves were very strange. Even if he was protected by thousands of troops, he could easily kill him. Long Outyin felt extremely humiliated, but he had no choice but to lower his noble head. He secretly swore in his heart that he must take revenge. If he didn't kill Ling Feng, he would not be a human being. Ling Feng withdrew the gravity suppression on him and said coldly, "Get out." Long Outyin was helped to stand up and turned away without saying a word. Everyone only felt his anger at the moment on Long Outyin's iron face. Ling Feng looked at the young woman in front of him, who was already scared out of his wits, and a trace of disgust flashed in his eyes. "Get out too. Don't let me see you again." The young woman was as if she had been pardoned. She climbed up from the ground with her hands and feet and ran towards the crowd with a face full of fear. Zhang Chao, who had just been insulted by her, looked at her with a cold face and quietly followed her. Ling Feng returned to the table. After this little episode, the breakfast on the table had been eaten up by Ling Tian. Ling Feng was speechless. He simply sat on the chair. All the people here did not go up the mountain, but stood here waiting honestly. There must be something important. He was also ready to follow the crowd. Jinshan's action had not started yet, so he closed his eyes and pretended to sleep. In the crowd, two tightly wrapped men and women looked at Ling Feng from a distance, with a strong murderous intent in their eyes. They were Hu Tianxi and Yang Zihan, who came to search for treasure. At this time, Hu Tianxi looked ugly, and a feeling of powerlessness rose in his heart. Whether it was the Miao family yesterday or the Longping base today, when Ling Feng dealt with these two waves of people, he was there and witnessed Ling Feng's heroic performance with his own eyes. The strength displayed by Ling Feng was something he had never seen before. In his eyes, no matter which of these two forces, they were invincible, but after fighting with Ling Feng, they were all just chickens and pottery dogs. He felt annoyed when he thought that his enemy was Ling Feng. He was only a king-level superpower until now, and becoming an emperor level was a distant thing. But Ling Feng could kill an emperor level in seconds. How can this revenge be avenged? Hu Tianxi sighed heavily. Yang Zihan also saw Hu Tianxi's annoyance and comforted him softly. "Tianxi, don't be discouraged. I believe you can definitely avenge your grandfather and all the villagers in Hujiazwang." Hu Tianxi nodded heavily. At this moment, a cry of surprise came from the crowd. "The people from the Creation Alliance are here. Are those 7 people the 7 great masters? They are really impressive. I heard that these 7 great masters were originally unknown little people, but they got a great opportunity in this Creation Mountain and became saint-level strongmen. Yes, the Creation Alliance is polite to them in the entire Jiangnan province, even the Longping base." Ling Feng slowly opened his eyes and looked at the 7 people who were slowly walking towards the square. These people were all wearing black robes and black veils, with only a pair of eyes exposed, looking extremely mysterious. From their every move, Ling Feng found that these people's auras were extremely powerful, much stronger than those emperor-level superpowers. Ling Feng still sat on the chair to see what these people wanted to do. The 7 great masters walked quickly to a rostrum in the middle of the square, and the 7 people stood side by side. The person in the middle of the 7 people looked around the square and said in a deep voice, "Everyone, please be quiet. I am Luo Wuji, the leader of the Creation Alliance." The originally noisy crowd suddenly became quiet, standing still and looking at Luo Wuji. Luo Wuji saw from the corner of the square that there was a surprisingly empty place. A young man was sitting lazily on a chair, looking at him calmly. He immediately understood the identity of this person. Just now he learned that Long Out Yin of Longping Base had been defeated by him. This person is definitely not a simple person. You must be on guard. He will never allow unstable factors to appear in his plan. He suppressed his emotions, retracted his gaze, and glanced at an old man standing next to Ling Feng. Zheng Sanbao, a stray dog driven out by them. Zheng Sanbao looked at him with resentment at this time, and Luo Wuji looked at him with disdain. "Welcome everyone to our Chuansha Mountain. Please forgive me for the poor hospitality. Time is tight, so I won't keep you in suspense. I will get straight to the point. The information I am going to say is very important, and everyone must remember it." The people in the underground immediately pricked up their ears and looked at Luo Wuji on the stage intently, fearing that they would miss a key piece of information. Luo Wuji paused for a moment and continued. "I think everyone knows that our Creation Mountain is rich in exotic fruits, and the quality of the exotic fruits is very strong. We have all achieved our current strength by using exotic fruits. I think you will have the opportunity to become the next one of us." The strong men in the audience were excited and full of expectations for the upcoming trip to Creation Mountain. Luo Wuji saw all the reactions of the people and smiled coldly in his heart. Although there are many exotic fruits in Creation Mountain, the risk factor is also very high. I think everyone should know this. Now the exotic fruits on the periphery of Creation Mountain have basically been picked, but the interior has not been entered so far. The exotic fruits inside will only be more than the number of the periphery, but this also means that it is more dangerous inside. This danger mainly comes from 2 aspects. Chapter 2:28. One is the powerful beasts inside. The Genesis Mountain used to be a nature reserve with a large number of wild animals. After the natural disaster, many animals mutated and became powerful. The second danger is the plants inside. Although there are many exotic fruits in the mountain, there are also many poisonous plants. Some plants will die if you get a little bit of them. Everyone must remember the above 2 points, Luo Wuji said and looked at the crowd below meaningfully. After listening to Luo Wuji's words, many people showed a hint of hesitation on their faces, especially those who came from small bases with not very strong strength. They are not strong, and they are likely to be eaten by beasts when they enter the Genesis Mountain. But the temptation here is also very great. Although many people are terrified, no one quits. Everyone is lucky enough to try their luck and turn a bicycle into a motorcycle. At this time, a strong man from the shadow building in the crowd suddenly raised a question. "Alliance Master Luo, since there are so many exotic fruits in this Creation Mountain, why did your Alliance Master give so many exotic fruits to others? What is the reason?" Others had this doubt for a long time, but the people from the shadow building raised their questions. Luo Wuji looked at the strong man who spoke and laughed. "Since this gentleman asked, I will tell you the truth. Although there are many exotic fruits inside the Creation Mountain, there are also many exotic beasts. Everyone knows that at the same level, the strength of exotic beasts is far higher than that of our human superpowers. We are not many in the Creation Alliance, and we are not the opponents of these exotic beasts at all. But if we don't go in to pick the exotic fruits, the strength of the exotic beasts will definitely become stronger and stronger after using these exotic fruits. So we invite you to enter together. It's easier to do things with more people." After listening to Luo Wuji's words, everyone suddenly realized that it was no wonder that the Creation Alliance would give such a great thing to them. It turned out that they were not strong enough. Now everyone has a basic understanding of the entire Genesis Mountain. I hope that the people of each family and base can work together and develop together. Luo Wuji nodded to the other 6 masters after he finished speaking. And at this moment, an inappropriate voice sounded. "It's really lively here today." The voice came from the sky. Everyone looked up at the sky together. At this moment, a red figure appeared in the sky and was rapidly descending to the ground. Behind him, there were more than a dozen similar figures flying towards this side from a distance. All the people were shocked, because these dozen figures were all people wearing mechanical armor. They had only seen flying armored warriors in movies, and it was the first time in reality. More than a dozen armored warriors landed steadily on the ground. The armor of the armored warrior, who was the first among them, was obviously much more advanced than the armored warriors behind him. There was a white light flashing on the chests of others, and only his chest was a red light. Luo Wuji also looked at the group of armored warriors who suddenly appeared with a surprised look on his face. These people were not among the people he invited. It was obvious that these people came uninvited. The steel armor on the head of the armored warrior, standing in the front, opened automatically, revealing a foreigner's face. Good morning, everyone. My name is David, a technological warrior from the Great Beauty. While David was speaking, a small loudspeaker at his throat simultaneously translated into the Dragon Country language. Luo Wuji frowned slightly. I didn't expect that this group of people were from the Great Beauty. How could this group of people appear here? I'm afraid they're not friendly, but he is not interested in this kind of technological warriors. If it was before the end of the world, their deterrent power might be very strong, but now, these superpowers can easily kill this group of technological warriors. It seems that our alliance didn't invite you. I don't know why you came here today, Luo Wuji said in a not-so-friendly tone. David smiled slightly. I heard that you invited many strong men to explore the exotic fruits and resources of the Creation Mountain. Our Great Beauty country is willing to help you explore together, Luo Wuji said silently. This is our Dragon Country's own business, so you don't need to bother with it. You should leave quickly. At this time, the crowd watching was also angry and insulted. You foreign devils have beautiful ideas. Get out of our Dragon Country quickly. Otherwise your battery will be confiscated. Look at your appearance, and you still want to take advantage of us. Get out. I feel sick when I see these foreign devils. The people of their Great Beauty country are like this. Just kill them all. David listened to the disgusting verbal abuses from the crowd, and his expression turned cold. He said in a threatening tone, Alliance Master Luo Wuji, I am talking to you nicely. If you disagree, then we will have to offend you. Luo Wuji looked at him gloomily. You can try. I promise you will regret it. A master behind Luo Wuji immediately stood up and said coldly, If you don't leave, I will do it. David took a step back. The helmet on his face closed automatically, and a bright red light shone from the position of his eyes. Then a mechanical voice came out. If you don't accept my toast, don't blame me for being unreasonable. The master who just spoke frowned, and his figure instantly disappeared from the spot, as if he had evaporated from the earth. David stood in place, and the steel armor on his body instantly turned pure black. Combat mode, turn on. David suddenly raised his mechanical arm quickly, punched in one direction after another, and at the same time shot out a red laser from his shoulder. The master who just made a move suddenly appeared in front of David, and David's outstretched fist and the laser shot just hit the master's shoulder. The master suddenly retreated dozens of meters away, and a trace of horror flashed across his face. The attack from the opposite side just now directly injured him, and now his shoulder is still aching, and the wound has been burned black by the laser. How did you find me? The master looked at him with fear. David said proudly, This is the power of technology. You will never understand. Even if you were a superpower, you are still weak in front of technology. After speaking, David slowly raised his right hand and waved his palm towards the crowd. A wave of white energy instantly shot out from the center of his palm, rapidly shooting towards the crowd of onlookers. People who were relatively close were directly blasted into the air. Everyone retreated together, with a trace of fear in their eyes. The strength displayed by this technological warrior was no less than that of a saint. Luo Wuji's expression flickered. He underestimated the strength of this group of people. Chapter 229. Alliance Leader Luo Wuji. I wonder if I can participate in this treasure hunt now, David said with a joking look on his face. Luo Wuji's face was slightly furious. These foreign devils were so arrogant that they not only hurt his people, but also spoke rudely. If it were in the past, he would have to cut these guys into pieces, but now his plan is about to be implemented, and he doesn't want to cause trouble. Moreover, these people are quite powerful. If they really go to war with them, it may cause certain casualties. It is better to be cautious. Luo Wuji thought again and decided to let them be arrogant for a while and solve the problem of Creation Mountain first. These foreign devils will settle accounts with them later. I can promise you to go into the mountain, but the mountain is extremely dangerous. If something happens, don't say, "I didn't warn you in advance." Luo Wuji said with a fake smile. David smiled confidently. He was a technological warrior. His armor was made of polymer materials. His attack methods were not only diversified, but also powerful. Any powerful beast would be vulnerable in front of him. Don't worry about this. We are only going in to collect some data. All the problems we encounter have nothing to do with you. Luo Wuji no longer paid attention to them. He turned back to the rostrum and continued. Everyone, I have explained all the precautions clearly. You can enter the mountain now, but I still remind you to try to form an alliance to fight against the beasts. After Luo Wuji finished speaking, he led the other 6 masters to walk quickly up the mountain and disappeared from sight a few seconds later. Seeing this, David immediately led the first technological warrior to activate the armor and disappeared in the mountains and forests in a few jumps. The rest of the people also rushed to the Genesis Mountain, fearing that they would be a little slower than others. At this time, Ling Feng stood up slowly and stretched his waist, not in a hurry at all. He was very interested in this group of technological warriors who suddenly appeared. The strength shown by the technological warrior just now was completely beyond his expectations. He didn't care much about the strength of these technological warriors at first, thinking that they were at most at the level of superpowers, but he didn't expect them to be so powerful. Saint-level strongmen were no match for him. It seems that the technology of this beautiful country is not completely bad. There are still some good points. Ling Feng withdrew his contempt for them, but this group of people dared to fly to Longwa openly. It would be fine if he didn't see them. Since he met them, he couldn't ignore them. He had to keep these people here and take out their clothes for research. Ling Feng put the tent into the space and took away all the tables, chairs, and benches, ready to go into the mountains. Ling Feng glanced at the few people under his command and frowned slightly. Although they have unlimited potential in the future, their current strength is still far from enough. If he takes them with him, it will only bring inconvenience to himself. His goal was to go straight to the core area of the Genesis Mountain. The number of exotic fruits outside was estimated to be very small, and there were so many people robbing them. Instead of wasting time here, it was better to go directly to the core area. Ling Feng glanced at the Black Panther on the ground and gradually came up with a plan. We are ready to enter the mountain. Ling Tian, Shun Yin, Shen Hong, you 3 will form a team and search the periphery. It is estimated that it is very dangerous inside. Your strength is too weak, so don't go in. Ling Feng tidied his clothes and said lightly, Brother Ling, aren't you going with us? Shen Hong widened his eyes and said innocently. Ling Feng nodded and said, I'm going to take a look at the core area. It is too dangerous for you to go in. I will let the Black Panther follow you and let them protect your safety. Black Panther. Ling Feng shouted at the Black Panther on the ground. The Black Panther stood up neatly and walked in front of Ling Feng. Ling Feng touched the Black Panther's head and took out a big leg of lamb from the space and put it to his mouth. I'll leave the safety of the 3 of them to you. Don't let anything happen to them. Black Panther roared at Ling Feng, staring at the lamb leg in Ling Feng's hand, drooling on the ground. Ling Feng threw the lamb leg on the ground, and Black Panther bit it and started to eat it voraciously. Ling Tian looked at Black Panther in surprise. He didn't understand why Ling Feng let a black dog protect them. Isn't this just an ordinary little black dog? Black Panther has always been an ordinary little black dog since he came to Genesis Mountain, and has never shown his true strength. Shen Hong and Shun Yin also always thought that Black Panther was an ordinary puppy. The 2 of them were still yesterday always playing with him. Brother Feng, is this Black Panther a strange beast? Ling Tian asked in doubt. Ling Feng smiled mysteriously. You will know when the time comes. Ling Feng took out enough food for the three of them and the dog for 7 days from the space and gave it to Ling Tian and told him some precautions. Old Zheng, let's go. Ling Feng took Zheng's sambao and walked slowly towards the mountain. Ling Tian watched Ling Feng leave and glanced at the Black Panther eating the leg of lamb. He thought the Black Panther was just an ordinary black dog and didn't see any difference. Let's go too. Since Brother Feng said that we should just walk around here, there's no need to be so anxious. Xinyan nodded and said softly, We are too weak, so we should be cautious and try not to have conflicts alone. It is best to avoid the people from the Miao family and Longping base. The few of them made up their minds and waited until Black Panther finished eating the lamb leg, and then walked towards the mountain with laughter. But they did not notice that there were two resentful eyes staring at them not far away. These two people were none other than Hu Tianxi and Yang Zihan. Hu Tianxi looked at Ling Tian and the other three and said with a cold look, This Ling Feng is really confident. He actually went into the mountain without caring about his subordinates. Although we are not Ling Feng's opponents, it is more than enough to kill these people. Yang Zihan nodded in agreement. These people should be Ling Feng's confidants. If we kill them, Ling Feng will probably go crazy. I've seen that black dog before. It has always been with Ling Feng and is loved by Ling Feng. In the early days of the apocalypse, he even fed his dog Australian lobsters. Yang Zihan had a deep memory of this incident, especially the memory of the villa complex, which she could never forget. It was also there that she learned about the cruelty of the apocalypse and Ling Feng's ruthlessness and coldness. If it weren't for him, she wouldn't be like this now. Then let's eat dog meat today, Hu Tianxi said sinisterly. Chapter 230. Ling Tian took the siblings to wander around aimlessly on the outskirts of the Genesis Mountain. Their goal was very simple. It would be best if they could get the exotic fruit, but it didn't matter if they couldn't. Anyway, they now had Ling Feng as their backer. They just had to wait for Ling Feng to return from the mountain and follow him back to the base. At this time, the outer area was full of people, and the places they passed were all in a mess. Ling Feng and his friends wandered around for half a day, and Hu Tianxi and his friends followed them for half a day. They had been waiting for an opportunity to kill them all at once when there were few people. However, these guys were like sly people. They went wherever there were many people and kept going around in circles here. Hu Tianxi began to get annoyed. Their plan was to kill a few people quickly and then quickly join them in the Longping base to follow them to see if they could get the exotic fruit. As a result, they wasted half a day here. Zihan, why don't we go into the mountain first? We've been wasting half a day here. If we're any later, we probably won't even have soup. Yang Zihan thought for a moment and said with some regret, Okay, they've been hanging around here all the time. It won't be too late to come and deal with them after we get the exotic fruit. The two looked at Ling Tian and the others with hatred and turned away helplessly. At this time, Ling Tian and the other two had no idea that they had been targeted. After wandering around for half a day, they still got nothing. They decided to find another way. They started walking towards the places that looked very safe, which were the outermost areas of the Genesis Mountain. Everyone thought that this place had been searched thousands of times and there would be no exotic fruit, so they basically wouldn't go to check it out. Soon they came to the outermost area of the Genesis Mountain. There were basically no people here. Only occasionally could they see people looking at it hurriedly for a few times and then walk towards the mountain again. Ling Tian took out a pair of glasses and put them on and began to check carefully. Xin Yin and Xin Hong also looked down carefully, while Black Panther was bored and playing with the snow, leaving his own marks from time to time. It must be said that this place is really clean. No plants can be seen, and the ground is full of messy footprints. The three searched for a long time, but still found nothing. Ling Tian sat on the ground with his head down. He had given up now and was ready to just give up and find a place to wait. Anyway, Ling Feng gave enough food, so there was no need to worry about food. At this moment, Black Panther suddenly yelled at Ling Feng and bit the corner of Ling Tian's clothes with his mouth and dragged him back. Ling Feng's body slid on the ground and was dragged by Black Panther to a small bulge. Black Panther yelled loudly at the small bulge several times, and then signaled Ling Tian with his eyes. Shun Yin and Shen Hong also heard the sound and ran over. Did Black Panther find something? Is there something inside? Shun Yin said with surprise. Shen Hong's face flushed with excitement, and he started digging at the small bulge. Ling Tian also joined the digging, but the ice and snow on the ground had been frozen very solid. The three of them dug for half an hour before they dug up the earth bag. After digging to a depth of 1 meter, Ling Tian suddenly shouted excitedly, "Did you dig it?" Ling Tian held a green exotic fruit as big as a cherry in his hand, and there were many more in the pit. A small exotic tree in the pit was full of fruits, at least hundreds of them. This exotic tree should have been pressed by the wind and snow, and then completely covered by the blizzard. After it turned into frozen snow, it was kept under it, and the people who went into the mountain to look for treasures later never found it. The three were very happy. They didn't expect that they could actually find a bargain in this place. If it weren't for the Black Panther's reminder, they might not have found it. The Black Panther was lying lazily on the ground at this time, looking at the three people with disgust. In his heart, he complained, "Look at how you have never seen the world. You are so excited by a few exotic fruits. You have never seen good things." Ling Tian and the others definitely didn't know what Black Panther was thinking. He didn't have time to think so much at the moment. He was completely immersed in the joy of discovering exotic fruits. The three of them began to pick the fruits quickly, and soon picked all the exotic fruits on them. The three of them looked at each other with joy, but they were happy for a short time before they heard a cold voice. "Hand over the exotic fruits on you." The three of them changed their expressions and looked at the source of the voice. They saw more than a dozen people in white clothes walking towards them. The person who spoke was a rough-looking young man. The man was tall and looked at Ling Feng and the others with wide eyes. Ling Feng secretly shouted, "Not good. I was targeted just after I got the exotic fruit. How unlucky." "Boss, what are you talking about? What exotic fruit?" Ling Tian smiled and said, signaling Shun Yin and Shun Hong to retreat. "Stop pretending. We have been targeting you for a long time. You guys have bulging pockets and think I didn't see it, right?" The young man looked at Ling Tian with a mocking face. "This is what we found. Why should we give it to you?" Shun Hong said with a look of dissatisfaction. The young man smiled coldly. "Little brat, don't tell me why. Just because we have more people and stronger strength than you. If you dare not give it to us, we will kill you. And you." The young man glanced at Shun Yin and said in a frivolous tone, "You can have fun with us brothers later, play some games, and we will let you go. I advise you to cooperate honestly. We have 4 or 5 king-level superpowers here, and it will be easy to beat you." Shun Yan's face turned pale. She didn't expect that these bastards would stare at her. She regretted washing her face in the morning. Before, in order to prevent such a thing from happening, she always deliberately dirtied her face and wore tattered clothes so that no one would have improper thoughts about them. "Do you know who we are? How dare you rob us?" Ling Tian said with a gloomy face. The young man smiled coldly. "Of course I know. Aren't you Ling Feng's people? Why are you using Ling Feng's name to pressure me? I tell you, others will be afraid, but we Baishui people are not afraid. Ling Feng is nothing in our eyes," the young man said arrogantly. Ling Tian's heart trembled. Although he didn't know much about the Baishui sect, he had heard a little bit of news. The Baishui sect was a force in Daxing Mountain and had a very high prestige in Daxing Mountain. Even the famous Shadow Building was not as powerful as the Baishui sect in the ranking of Daxing Mountain. It can be seen that the strength of the Baishui sect is very strong. Chapter 231. Ling Tian looked at the Black Panther. Since Ling Feng said that the Black Panther could protect them, Ling Feng would not lie to him. He squatted down and said to the Black Panther with a flattering tone, "Brother Black Panther, we are really in trouble this time. How about you help me this time?" As soon as Ling Feng said this, the young man of the Baishui sect sneered and said sarcastically, "Why, you put your hopes on a dog. I think you are quite interesting." The younger brother behind the young man immediately walked to his side, looked at the Black Panther with shining eyes, and said with a smile, "Brother Tao, you see this black dog is quite fat. How about we make a dog meat hot pot and eat it once? Brothers haven't eaten dog meat for a long time." Brother Tao glanced at the Black Panther. His expression moved. This black dog is not small in size, at least more than 100 pounds, and the tendon meat on this black dog is very chewy at first glance. Brother Tao swallowed his saliva. Today's luck was really good. Not only did he grab the exotic fruit, but also a woman and dog meat to eat. Black Panther looked at the group of people in front of him coldly. Although he couldn't speak, he could understand what people said. Now this group of people are actually discussing eating dog meat and want to have hot pot. Damn! Black Panther slowly stood up and walked in front of Ling Tian and the other three, blocking them behind him, and looked at the group of people from the Baishui sect with disdain. Brother Tao looked at Black Panther with surprise. Oh, this black dog is quite spiritual and knows how to protect its master. I really don't want to eat it, Brother Tao said in a teasing tone. This group of people didn't take Black Panther seriously at all. In their opinion, it was just an ordinary black dog, just a little bigger in size, not an exotic beast at all. The size of the exotic beast was much larger than him. Even if he was an exotic beast, it looked like a king at most. A dozen people on their side were enough to kill it. No matter how you look at it, they're the winners. Brother Tao casually found a younger brother and said, Lu Zi, go and kill this black dog and have dog meat hot pot tonight. Okay, Brother Tao. Lu Zi rolled up his sleeves and walked out excitedly. He usually ranked last in the team and was never reused. Today, he can finally show himself in front of the boss. He is ready to subdue the black dog with his bare hands. With his identity as a superpower, it is easy to catch. Lu Zi walked towards the Black Panther confidently, still saying bewitching words. Come on, Xiaogo, I have something delicious here. Come here quickly. Lu Zi suddenly grabbed the Black Panther's neck, relying on his superpower physical fitness, and instantly came in front of the Black Panther. The Black Panther looked at Lu Zi in front of him with disdain. This speed was simply weak in its eyes. The Black Panther stood up, standing on its two hind legs on the ground, and its height was almost equal to Liu Zi. Liu Zi was startled by the Black Panther who suddenly stood up, but he quickly adjusted his mentality and continued to grab the Black Panther. The Black Panther stretched out his right front paw and quickly slapped Liu Zi's head. This was Ling Feng's favorite move. He had been practicing silently before, thinking that he would be able to use it once one day. Today it finally came in handy. Liu Zi was slapped away by the sudden dog paw. Liu Zi's figure flew 40 or 50 meters in the air and finally hit a mountain heavily. The whole person was directly embedded in the mountain and died on the spot. Black Panther, so powerful, so cool. Shinhong jumped up excitedly. Brother, hey, awesome. High five. Ling Tian flattered the Black Panther and stretched out his palm. The Black Panther turned around proudly and high-fived Ling Tian. This funny scene made Shun Yin couldn't help laughing. Brother Tao and his group in the distance looked at the Black Panther in shock, and Brother Tao was completely dumbfounded. What did he see? His little brother was slapped to death by a dog. Is this a dog? He quickly realized that he was fooled by this dog. This guy can understand human words and has been pretending just now. What a shame. If this matter gets out and other people in the sect know about it, they will laugh at themselves for the rest of their lives. A trace of coldness flashed across Brother Tao's eyes. Fuck, dog. Dare to lie to me? I will peel your skin today. Everyone, come together. Kill this black dog for me. Brother Tao gave an order, and the dozen brothers standing behind him all moved together and rushed towards the Black Panther quickly. They surrounded all the Black Panthers together, gradually narrowing the scope, forming a situation of closing the door to beat the dog. The Black Panther is still with its two hind legs supporting the ground. It waited for the group to attack. It had already fallen in love with the slap in the face. It was so cool. No wonder its master liked to slap others in the face so much. He finally felt it now. A dozen people from the Baishui sect gradually narrowed the encirclement to a range of 5 meters. There were many king-level psychics among these dozen people. When the encirclement was narrowed to 3 meters, everyone looked at each other and then sped up at the same time and attacked the Black Panther. The Black Panther moved instantly, and the speed was so fast that everyone present could not see his figure. They could only see a vague black shadow moving constantly. Then a scream was heard. A king-level psychic was slapped and flew out directly. He was in the same posture as Liuzi, who was just slapped and flew out, and was slapped on the mountain. Although he was not dead yet, he was breathing in more than out at this time. Before everyone could react, screams came one after another. One after another. Figures flew into the air and finally crashed into the mountain together, each with a different posture. It looked particularly spectacular. The Black Panther raised his head and looked at Brother Tao with a provocative look. Brother Tao was also panicked at this time. He really didn't expect that this dog was so powerful. In just half a minute, more than a dozen of his men were all wiped out. This black dog must be a strange beast, and its strength is at least the strength of the Emperor. The Black Panther took steady steps and slowly walked towards Brother Tao. Brother Tao showed a look of fear on his face, and his figure kept retreating, and at the same time he began to beg for mercy from the Black Panther. "Brother Dog, Uncle Dog, I know I was wrong. I won't dare to do it again. Please forgive me. I will never eat dog meat again." The Black Panther looked angry and hooked his claws at Brother Tao. Brother Tao was so scared that he trembled all over and walked towards the Black Panther with a pale face. "Grandpa Dog, don't kill me." Brother Tao begged for mercy in a terrified voice. Black Panther poked his head in front of Brother Tao and looked at him carefully. Chapter 232. Brother Tao looked at a huge dog head staring at him, feeling more scared than watching a horror movie. He showed a very reluctant smile. The Black Panther slowly opened his mouth and spit out a ball of green fire. "This dog can breathe fire." This was Brother Tao's last thought before he died. And then his head was surrounded by fire and finally turned into a ball of ashes. The Black Panther glanced at the ashes on the ground, slowly turned around, and walked to Ling Tian with a proud face. Ling Tian reached out to give the Black Panther a back massage and said in a flattering tone, "Brother Hey, you are awesome. I will follow you in the Creation Mountain in the future." "Black Panther, I didn't realize that you were so strong," Shunyan also said with a smile. The Black Panther stretched out his claws and pointed at Ling Tian's pocket. Ling Tian was stunned for a moment, and then suddenly realized, and immediately took out the strange fruit he had just picked from his pocket and handed it to the Black Panther. "Brother Hey, you've worked hard. Eat some exotic fruits to quench your thirst." Black Panther shook his head, pointed at the exotic fruits, and then at Ling Feng. "Brother Hey, do you want us to eat the exotic fruits?" Ling Tian asked with a puzzled look on his face. Black Panther nodded, then ignored them and found a flat place to lie down. Ling Tian took the exotic fruits and looked at Shun Yin and Shin Hong and said, "Why don't we eat the exotic fruits? If we keep them in our hands, it will be troublesome if we encounter the situation just now." Shin Yin thought what he said made sense and nodded and said, "Okay, then let's divide these exotic fruits now. After our strength is improved, we will have a better chance of winning in the subsequent actions." After the two discussed, they began to divide all the exotic fruits equally and divided the exotic fruits into 3 parts. The 3 of them ate them directly on the spot. Anyway, there was Black Panther watching them, so there was no need to worry about someone coming to destroy them. On the other side, Ling Feng led Zheng Sanbao to the inside of the Creation Mountain. There were basically no exotic fruits in the outside area. Ling Feng, who was skilled and bold, went directly to the inside. The further they went to the inside of the Creation Mountain, the steeper the mountain became, and the fewer people there were. Except for people from powerful forces, it was difficult for people from ordinary bases to reach here. The two finally came to the edge of a cliff. If they wanted to continue moving forward, they had to cross the cliff. Ling Feng looked down at the cliff to see how high it was, but he accidentally saw a plant in the middle of the cliff. The plant was green and had 2 red flowers on it. Ling Feng's eyes lit up. In such a cold environment, it could survive and bloom. It must have mutated. Ling Feng immediately called Zheng Sanbao and asked, "Old Zheng, what kind of plant do you think this is? Do you recognize it?" Zheng Sanbao stuck his head out and observed it carefully for a while. A hint of surprise flashed in his eyes, and he said excitedly, This should be a mutant species of dragon tongue grass. I have studied herbs before, so I should be right. This dragon tongue grass is a very precious herb. It belongs to fire in the 5 elements and has a miraculous effect on detoxification. After mutation, it is very likely to be of great help to the supernatural power of fire attribute. Ling Feng was delighted. His supernatural power has the function of fire. This dragon tongue grass may have an effect on improving his supernatural power. Moreover, all the members of the God of War Brigade also have the supernatural power of fire. If his strength improves, they will also improve with him. Ling Feng looked at the location of the dragon tongue grass, which was about 50 meters above the ground. This cliff is very steep, and because of the frozen snow, the surface of the mountain is very smooth, and both hands cannot be used for support. Ling Feng took out a dagger from the space, then jumped down the cliff. Ling Feng's figure quickly descended, and at the same time, he inserted the dagger in his right hand into the mountain, relying on this method to relieve the force, and finally stopped in front of the dragon tongue grass. Through close observation, Ling Feng found that the leaves of the dragon tongue grass exuded a strange fragrance, which made him feel refreshed after smelling it. Ling Feng stretched out his hands to pick the dragon tongue grass. At this moment, a change occurred. Ling Feng suddenly felt a tightness on his back, and a sense of danger arose spontaneously. He quickly dodged to the side and quickly picked the dragon tongue grass with his other hand. The moment Ling Feng left the original place, a laser quickly hit the position where Ling Feng was standing. Ling Feng's figure landed steadily on the ground, and at the same time looked in the direction of the attack. He just found that his gravity field and mental control had no effect on the laser attack. In the distance, a tech warrior floated in the air, with flames constantly spurting out from his feet, supporting his body. Based on the color of the light on his chest, Ling Feng judged that this guy should be an ordinary tech warrior is not the one who showed his might this morning. Hand over what you just got, or you will die, the tech warrior said in a cold voice. Ling Feng smiled coldly. He was very angry now. He didn't even notice the sneak attack from this man. And this guy was a foreigner, which made him even more angry. If you want it, come and get it yourself. Ling Feng raised the dragon tongue grass in his hand and showed it to the tech warrior in the air. The tech warrior said in an annoyed tone, "You are looking for death. You dare to be so rampant in the face of the invincible tech warrior of the great beauty. You are the 6th person I killed today." After the tech warrior finished speaking, he quickly flew towards Ling Feng, and the armor rubbed against the air and made a roar. The tech warrior raised his mechanical arm and gathered all the energy in his body to his arm. This dragon countryman had angered him, and he felt that he wanted to blow this guy into slag. Ling Feng stood in place, with a hint of coldness in his eyes. The tech warrior came in front of Ling Feng and punched Ling Feng, and at the same time, flames spurted out from the position of his fist. Ling Feng smiled coldly, also punched the opponent's fist. The 2 fists, carrying 2 balls of strange fire, collided in the air. With a loud bang, the tech warrior flew straight backwards, and a mechanical arm was directly blasted into pieces by Ling Feng. The tech warrior crashed into the mountain, and the whole armor was emitting black smoke, and there was a constant sizzling sound of electricity. The tech warrior tried to connect with the intelligent brain of the armor and found that the entire circuit system had been completely destroyed, and he had lost control of the armor. At this time, he finally showed a trace of fear. Originally, he thought that the people of Longwa were all savages with low strength, who could not use technology and only knew some punches and kicks. He had killed 5 people in a row today, all of whom were killed with 1 blow. Now it seems that he has not met a real strong man. He panicked when he saw the dragon people walking towards him. Chapter 233. Ling Feng walked in front of the tech warrior and squatted down. Ling Feng stretched out his right hand, grabbed his helmet, and used brute force to tear off the armor on his head. The horrified face inside was revealed. Ling Feng looked at the face of this foreigner and showed a cruel smile on his face. "What do you want to do? I am from the Great America. You can't kill me. Our country will not let you go," the tech warrior said fiercely. Ling Feng looked at the energy ball on his chest and put his hand on the energy ball and pulled it out with force. Ling Feng held it in his hand and observed it for a long time, but he couldn't see the material composition of this energy ball, but he felt a strong energy fluctuation on this energy ball. What material is this made of? Ling Feng asked while holding the energy ball. This is our national secret. I won't tell it, the tech warrior said firmly. Ling Feng looked at him with an evil smile. He likes people who are tough, but so far, no one has been able to hold on for half an hour. He had no psychological burden for those who invaded Dragon Country. Ling Feng took out a sharp knife, gestured a few times in front of the technology warrior, and said with a cold face, I will use this knife to cut hundreds of knives on your face, and then cut off the flesh on your face piece by piece. The technology warrior could only show a look of horror immediately, with cold sweat all over his face. Why are you people from Dragon Country so vicious? You can't do this to me. This is inhumane. You can't abuse prisoners. The technology warrior said with a look of panic. Stop talking nonsense. Do you want to talk or not? If you don't, I'm going to do it, Ling Feng said impatiently. Ling Feng put the dagger in front of him and gestured. I'll tell you, don't kill me. This thing is a small nuclear reactor with very powerful energy, the technology warrior said hurriedly, fearing that Ling Feng would do it to him. Nuclear reactor? Ling Feng played with the energy ball in his hand and felt as if he had opened up a new world. If he could get a complete steel armor and then upgrade it, there might be unexpected effects. Ling Feng thought secretly in his heart. Ling Feng looked at the technological warrior and the armor in front of him, which had been broken by him, and shook his head with some regret. It seems that I have to find a chance to get a complete set of armor back. I think David is wearing it well. It seems that I have to be more careful next time I attack. After Ling Feng killed the technological warrior with his hand, he jumped back to the ground. Mr. Ling, is that iron guy dead just now? Zheng Sanbao asked curiously. Ling Feng nodded. He's dead. Let's go quickly. We've wasted too much time here. The two crossed the cliff and continued to walk towards the inner area of the Creation Mountain. Soon after Ling Feng left, David brought two technological warriors to the bottom of the cliff. I saw the genetic warrior who had been killed by Ling Feng. David looked gloomy and uncertain, and exuded a strong murderous intent. Paul, how could this happen? Who killed him? A technology warrior said with a sad face. How could those people from Dragon Country have the strength to kill him? How could a mortal body fight against technology? Another technology warrior said in disbelief. David had a gloomy face, and then turned the body of the technology warrior over and found a hidden memory card behind him. This savings card records all the film and television records of this armor. He put the memory card in front of his eyes and scanned it, and then his eyes projected a virtual screen in front of him like a projector. David directly pulled the record to the end, and then saw that he came to this cliff and saw a young man with a Dragon Country face picking a strange grass on the cliff. Later, he saw the scene that shocked him. The Dragon Country man broke the armor with one punch. The record ends here, and what happened next is unknown. David looked solemn. How much strength was needed to break their armor with one punch? Their armor was made of very hard titanium alloy aerospace material, which was very hard and could withstand even missiles. But it couldn't withstand the man's punch. This was too scary. He had come into contact with so many superpowers, but none of them had such great power. The other two technology warriors were also stunned after reading this record. Oh, my God, this is too shocking. Is he really a human? Isn't he a god? A tech warrior exclaimed subconsciously. David said seriously, send this person's portrait to other team members and tell them to notify me immediately if they meet this person. This person is very powerful and a big threat. We must eliminate him. In addition, all team members are prohibited from acting alone. They must work in groups of 3 and act together. The two tech warriors immediately passed on David's order and started searching for Ling Feng. At this time, Ling Feng didn't know that he had been targeted by the people of the beautiful country. He was still walking leisurely on the mountain road. As Ling Feng walked, he looked at the exotic fruit in his hand. This exotic fruit was taken from Miao Xiaotsue last night. This exotic fruit was upgraded. There was not much change in size, but the color was brighter than before, and after the upgrade, this exotic fruit also had a special effect. That is, it came with an invisible effect. This effect made Ling Feng very happy. He didn't expect that an exotic fruit would have such a heaven-defying effect. He had been attracted by Ling Tian's invisibility ability before, but he didn't expect that this exotic fruit would directly give him the invisibility effect. Ling Feng guessed this exotic fruit should have the effect of hiding the breath. After the system upgrade, it directly became invisible. In the final analysis, it was because the system was too powerful. Ling Feng looked at the exotic fruit in his hand and took a bite. The juice splashed all over. The sweet and delicious flesh immediately turned into a pure energy and flowed into his body. Ling Feng felt warm in his stomach, and a gentle energy slowly flowed to every corner of his body. He felt that the strength of his body was slowly increasing. After about half an hour, the energy in his body slowly disappeared. Ling Feng felt that his physical value should have increased by about 3,000 points. Now his data has reached 13,200 points. Ling Feng didn't care much about the increase in data. What he cared most about was the invisibility effect. He was ready to try how it worked. Chapter 234. Ling Feng's thoughts moved, and he felt that the air around him seemed to have undergone a subtle change. Zheng Sanbao, who was walking behind Ling Feng, suddenly felt that there was a slight movement of the air around him, and hurriedly looked up, and his expression was immediately shocked. Ling Feng, who was just walking in front of him, disappeared. What was going on? Mr. Ling? Zheng Sanbao looked around and kept looking at Ling Feng. Ling Feng, who was standing next to Zheng Sanbao, was delighted. He actually became invisible. He was only half a meter away from Zheng Sanbao, and Zheng Sanbao, who was at the Emperor level, did not find him. It seems that the effect of this ability is really good beyond his expectations. Ling Feng put away the invisibility effect and reappeared in front of Zheng Sanbao. Zheng Sanbao was startled by the sudden appearance of Ling Feng. Damn, young Master Ling. Why are you so elusive? Where did you go just now? Zheng Sanbao patted his chest and said, obviously he was scared just now. It's okay, I just tried a little trick. Ling Feng said nonchalantly. Ling Feng chose to ignore Zheng Sanbao's suspicious eyes and continued to think about the road ahead. The two walked for another hour and basically got nothing. Ling Feng was a little suspicious whether this time entering the mountain was a conspiracy of the Creation Alliance. Otherwise, why did he still not find anything after walking for most of the day? Old Zheng, didn't you say that there are a lot of exotic fruits here? We have been walking for such a long time and have gone deep into the interior of the mountains, but there is still no big discovery. Ling Feng narrowed his eyes slightly and said with some doubts. Zheng Sanbao also looked puzzled. This is indeed a bit wrong. The resources in the Genesis Mountain are very rich. It can't be like this. Has it been taken away by the people of the Creation Alliance? Keep going inside. We haven't even seen a strange beast yet. Let's see if there is anything inside. Ling Feng sighed slightly and continued on his way. After crossing a mountain, the two saw a place similar to a small basin. As the two approached this place, they heard the sound of fighting. The two looked at each other and immediately walked quickly in the direction of the sound. Ling Feng searched in the direction of the sound and soon saw two teams on the back of a mountain. One of the teams was a team that Ling Feng was familiar with. The people of the Yunchuan Miao family. At this moment, opposite the Miao family was a group of people in white clothes, with a number of about 30 or 40 people. At this time, the battle between the two sides entered a white-hot stage, and the people on both sides were all red-eyed. There were at least a dozen corpses lying on the ground, including those of the Miao family and those in white clothes. At this time, Miao Xiaozi was protected in the middle by 6 or 7 people from the Miao family. Miao Xiaozi held her hands together, and a white giant python was killing people in the white-clothed team. But the white giant python was in a very bad state, with more than a dozen deep wounds of various sizes on its body. There was a gray-haired old man in the white-clothed team, fighting with the white giant python. The old man was holding a 9-ring broadsword, and his body was agile. He kept moving around the giant python and sneaking attacks on the giant python from time to time. Although the giant python's movement speed was also very agile, it seemed much clumsy in front of the old man's speed. Miao Xiaocui was also anxious at this time. Although the overall strength of their two teams was not much different, their high-end combat power was a little different. Originally, the high-end combat power of both sides was 3 Emperor-level strongmen, and his side was slightly stronger. In the battle just now, he successfully injured 2 Emperors, who knew that the opposite Baishui sect was actually a 6th class, and also hit a strong man at the peak of the Emperor level. It was the old man in front of him. He was obviously very powerful, but he hid his strength. He just took advantage of his inattention and suddenly launched a sneak attack, resulting in the death and injury of one of his Emperor-level strongmen. Now he was the only Emperor-level strongman left, but he couldn't hold on for much longer. Miao Xiaocui looked at the scars on her beloved pet, which were getting more and more. The whole body was stained with blood, and the speed of movement was much slower. According to this situation, her pet would be killed in 5 minutes at most. Miao Xiaocui's eyes flashed with determination. She bit her index finger immediately and put the blood on her forehead. Her whole face instantly became red, and a trace of red light flashed in her pupils. A green snake crawled out from the cuff of her right hand again. It looked very similar to the white python, except for the different skin color. The green snake saw the injured white giant python. A pair of eyes suddenly became extremely cold. The green snake quickly swam to the middle of the battlefield, and its body quickly grew larger, instantly turning into a green giant python. The giant python was even bigger than the white python. The green giant python instantly came in front of the old man in white, opened its bloody mouth, and quickly bit the old man. The sudden appearance of the green giant python startled the white-haired old man, and he dodged to the side in a hurry, narrowly avoiding the attack of the giant python. But the fishy and unpleasant smell of the green giant python made him frown. When the white giant python saw the green giant python appear, his eyes immediately changed color, and he was overjoyed. The old man in white looked at the 2 huge giant pythons, and a trace of fear flashed in his eyes. He never fought a battle without confidence, and his life creed was to hide. The old man in white held the big knife across his chest, with a cautious look on his face. Miao Xiaocui looked a little pale at this time. Driving 2 strange beasts at the same time had exceeded her limit. At this time, she felt dizzy, and her steps were a little shaky when she stood. Miao Xiaocui bit her tongue hard to keep herself awake, pretending to be calm, and said, "Wu Kai, are you going to fight to the death with our Miao family?" Wu Kai sneered. "Your Miao family is just SOSO in the eyes of our Baishui sect. Even if I kill you, what can your Miao family do? Will you go to Daxing Mountain to fight us? Don't think I can't see your strength. You are now at the end of your strength. I guess you can't support it in a few minutes." Miao Xiaocui clenched her fists, trying to keep her body from shaking, and said proudly, "You can try whether I am at the end of my strength. Do you dare?" Wu Kai looked at Miao Xiaocui with a gloomy face. He really didn't dare. He just said that just to trick this woman. He didn't expect that this woman was so smart and saw his strategy. He didn't dare to act rashly now. Who knows if this woman is pretending to be a pig to eat the tiger? At this moment, Wu Kai suddenly felt a little dizzy. Chapter 235. Wu Kai's heart trembled. How could his body suddenly have this problem? His body was obviously very strong. Although he was already 80 years old this year, he was in great shape and enjoyed everything he ate. It was not a problem for him to toss and turn 3 or 4 times a night. How could he suddenly feel dizzy? He immediately remembered that he had just been spit on the face by the green python. He didn't pay much attention to it at the time, but he didn't expect that he would still be hit. "You poisoned me," Wu Kai said with a look of shock and anger. Miao Xiaocui looked sharp and said coldly, "I didn't poison you. It was the toxin in my Xiaoqing's body." "You!" Wu Kai felt that his physical condition was getting worse and worse. He staggered, and the person next to him immediately supported him and almost fell. He raised his hands and saw that the blood vessels on his arms turned green. His hands gradually turned black, and his face was also stained with a trace of black air. "You treacherous bitch! You actually poisoned me secretly." Wu Kai was furious. He had been steady all his life, but in the end he still couldn't escape the tricks of others. He played with the eagle all his life, but in the end he was pecked in the eye by the eagle. He was good at sneak attacks, but in the end he died from being secretly harmed. Wu Kai felt his breathing getting more and more rapid, and his vision began to gradually become blurred. Miao Xiaote looked at Wu Kai with murderous intent and said in a cold tone, "Umph, you sneak attacked us first. I was the first to discover this strange tree. You people of the Bai Shui sect are unreasonable and want to take it for yourself. Now you have the face to criticize us. You are really shameless." Puff, puff, puff. Wu Kai suddenly spit out a mouthful of black blood. I don't know if he was angry or because of the poison, but he spit out blood and died directly. But his eyes were wide open until he died, and his expression was full of unwillingness. He died with his eyes open. Seeing Wu Kai dying, Miao Xiaote secretly breathed a sigh of relief and immediately recalled the two strange beasts. The two giant pythons quickly shrank and got back into her sleeves. Miao Xiaote fell down due to excessive physical exhaustion. Several superpowers around her immediately caught her. One of the middle-aged men took out a red pill from his arms and put it into Miao Xiaotsue's mouth. Miao Xiaotsue's face gradually became red. Everyone looked happy and relieved. "Miss, are you okay?" The middle-aged man who fed him the medicine said with a worried look. Miao Xiaote shook her head slowly and said in a cold voice, "It's okay. It's just that the superpowers are overused. It will be fine after a rest." "Miss, how to deal with these Bai Shui people?" Miao Xiaotsue looked at the Bai Shui team. At this time, there were only 7 or 8 people left, and they looked at this side with fear. A hint of coldness flashed in Miao Xiaotsue's eyes, and she said expressionlessly, "Kill them. There are several teams of Bai Shui sect coming to Chuansha Mountain this time. We must not let them escape." After the middle-aged man received the order, he immediately led the strong men of the Miao family to rush towards the people of Bai Shui sect on the opposite side. 5 minutes later, all the remaining members of Bai Shui sect were slaughtered. Ling Feng, who was lying on the ground watching the battle from a distance, could not help but feel a little admiration for Miao Xiaotsue. Although she is a woman, she is more decisive and ruthless than many men in her conduct and work. But admiration is admiration, and he still has to grab this exotic fruit. He has just discovered the location of the exotic fruit, which grows in the gap between 2 stones. There are about 5 or 6 exotic fruits on it. Each exotic fruit is the size of an apple. Judging from the color, it should be ripe and can be picked, but he still has a bottom line. He only wants 5 of the 6 exotic fruits, and never more. Don't think it's not the right time to take action now, because there is more than one Voldemort here. He sensed that there was another team lurking behind the opposite mountain, with about 15 or 16 people. On the other side, after the Miao family's team cleaned up the scene, they were ready to pick the exotic fruit and leave. At this moment, something strange happened. Suddenly, more than a dozen people appeared on the hillside and rushed down the mountain at a very fast speed. In a breath, this group of uninvited guests appeared in front of the Miao family. Miao Xiaotsue's pupils shrank slightly, and she looked at the group of people who suddenly appeared with a serious expression. For a while, she couldn't see the identity of this group of people, mainly because they were dressed differently and there was no uniform clothing. Miao Xiaotsue recovered a little, walked slowly towards the group of people, and said with a somewhat unhappy look, "Who are you? This place has been occupied by the Miao family. Leave quickly, otherwise you will be killed without mercy." Walking in the crowd, opposite a middle-aged woman came out. She was plump, dressed up in fancy clothes, and had a hint of worldly taste on her face. The woman twisted her exaggerated steps and looked at Miao Xiaotsue with jealousy and said, "Miao Xiaotsue, stop pretending. We saw your fight with Bai Shui sect just now clearly. Your high-end combat forces died or were injured. They have no combat effectiveness. We still have Emperor-level strongmen on our side. Hee hee. The middle-aged woman covered her mouth and laughed smugly. What do you want to do? Miao Xiaotsue said coldly. The middle-aged woman smiled sweetly and said smugly, You are asking knowingly. What else can we come to this mountain for? As long as you leave this exotic fruit, we will not embarrass you. It seems that you are also from a big force. I don't know which side you are from. Miao Xiaotsue continued to ask. She knew that the strange trees she found today could not be kept. Now the only thing she could do was to find out the identity of this group of people. The Miao family could not suffer this loss in silence. The middle-aged woman looked at Miao Xiaotsue meaningfully and said, I'm not afraid to tell you that we are from the 5 great immortal families. Even if your Miao family knows, what can we do? The expressions of all the strong men of the Miao family changed suddenly. The 5 great immortal families refer to the 5 major families. They were known for their mystery before the end of the world. After the end of the world, the strength of these families has skyrocketed, and the strength of the immortal families they support is also very powerful. Miao Xiaotsue's heart moved, and she looked at the people opposite with fear. Okay, we don't want this strange tree, Miao Xiaotsue said decisively. The other people of the Miao family were dissatisfied. They had to give away the strange fruit they had worked so hard to find. How could they not be angry? Miss, are we just going to give the exotic fruits to others? Did all those tribesmen just die in vain? Yes, let's fight them. Miao Xiaotsue knew that no one could accept it, so she could only comfort them. There are plenty of exotic trees in the mountain, but if people die, there will be nothing left. We are not their opponents now, and a conflict will only cause more casualties. Let's go. Miao Xiaotsue comforted her tribesmen and prepared to leave with them. Wait! The middle-aged woman stopped Miao Xiaotsue, who was about to leave. Chapter 236. Miao Xiaotsue frowned slightly. What else do you want to do? Nothing. Just remind you again. Remember to observe the situation when you see strange fruits in the future. Don't make wedding dresses for others again. The middle-aged woman said with a sarcastic tone. Miao Xiaotsue didn't say anything and walked away without looking back, but a strong murderous intent flashed in the depths of her eyes. The middle-aged woman looked at Miao Xiaotsue, who was leaving, and a trace of pride flashed in her eyes. The mantis stalks the cicada, and the oriole is behind, and the one who laughs last is our 5 great immortals. He moved his eyes to the strange tree in the corner, his eyes full of greed. He walked slowly towards the strange fruit, and his heart was extremely excited. This is a strange fruit, and there are 6 of them. If one of them is taken outside, it will attract countless people to snatch it. He actually has 6 of them at once. This is simply a great opportunity. She slowly came to the side of the strange fruit and was about to pick it. A lazy voice suddenly sounded. You can't eat this exotic fruit. The middle-aged woman's expression changed. How come there are still people? Damn, there are so many old 6. She quickly turned around and looked behind her. She saw 2 figures, one old and one young, appearing not far away at some point. The young figure was looking at her with a smile on his face. The man had sword-like eyebrows and star-like eyes, and was handsome and extraordinary. He had the aura of a superior, and his every move showed the style of a king. The middle-aged woman blushed. He actually felt a little faster heartbeat on this young man. Is this the feeling of heartbeat? At this moment, she was completely immersed in Ling Feng's face and couldn't extricate herself. She didn't realize who she was facing at the moment. There was a feeling of drawing in her eyes when she looked at Ling Feng. Brother, are you talking to me? The middle-aged woman said shyly. Ling Feng frowned slightly, and a chill came to his heart. Why did the old woman opposite look at him with something wrong? Nonsense. Is there anyone else here? Ling Feng said coldly. How dare you, kid, to cause trouble for our 5 great immortals? The subordinate of the middle-aged woman immediately scolded Ling Feng with a bad look. Before she had walked far, Miao Xiaotsue turned her head and looked over here. Her expression changed. It turned out to be him. I really have a fate with this guy. I can meet him here. Once Ling Feng came, it would be much more interesting here. With his temper, he must have this exotic fruit, and Ling Feng's strength is unfathomable, and the name of the 5 great immortals may not be able to intimidate him. Miao Xiaocui immediately stopped and prepared to stay to watch the fun. Although she would definitely not get the exotic fruit, watching the people of the 5 great immortals suffer a setback would make her feel a lot better. On the other side, the middle-aged woman saw her subordinates speaking rudely to Ling Feng and immediately scolded the group of subordinates. "Shut up, what did I teach you? You must be polite when speaking. Understand? But Sister Xia, this kid is rude to you, we can't stand it." A subordinate explained with a face of grievance. "You know what the hell, this is my good brother, get out of my way quickly," said Sister Xia with a gloomy face. Then she looked at Ling Feng with seductive eyes and said softly, "Brother, are you interested in my exotic fruit? As long as you follow me, all of these are yours. What do you think?" Ling Feng looked at Sister Xia with a sullen face, feeling disgusted. "Do you think I'm a gigolo? Do I look like one? Why don't you take a piss and look at yourself? The wrinkles on your face can kill a fly. Look at your facial features. Each of you has your own characteristics. No one is convinced by the other. Are you deliberately trying to disgust me?" Ling Feng mocked without any hesitation. Zheng Sanbao stood behind Ling Feng and kept laughing, looking at Ling Feng with a teasing look. Sister Xia's face changed. She hated people talking about her appearance the most. Ling Feng couldn't help but say that it was so ugly. "What did you say? You dare to say that about me? If you have the guts, say it again," Sister Xia said with a ferocious face. Ling Feng looked at her with a playful look and continued to bombard back. "This is the first time I've seen someone actively looking for a scolding. I think you look half like Shakespeare." Sister Xia looked confused. Was she scolding herself or praising herself? How is it similar? Sister Xia looked at Ling Feng with a look of doubt. "Shabi, knock boy, you are the first one to talk to me like this pace. Give him an electric cannon. Remember not to kill me. I want to live," Sister Xia said to a bald subordinate with an angry face. "Okay, Sister Xia, just watch me." The man named Pace the man immediately stood up, looking at Ling Feng with ill intentions and sneering. Pest moved his wrist and said with a gloomy face, "Hey, you are really a pretty boy, kid. You will suffer a lot if you fall on me. You dare to mess with our 5 great immortals. Let me show you our methods." He took out a strangely shaped broken blade from his arms. The dagger was somewhat similar to the shark knife in the game, but the front half of the knife was broken off. The dagger was rusty and looked a bit old. Pes held the dagger and began to activate his supernatural power. The originally worn-out dagger slowly returned to its original appearance and turned into a sharp shark knife. "Lu Xian, help me!" Pes roared. The eyes of the magic sword were scarlet, and his face was stained with a hint of demonic breath. The 2 eyes slowly became slender, and a hissing sound similar to that of snakes came out of his mouth. Ling Feng looked at the changes of pace with curiosity. This trip to the Genesis Mountain really opened his eyes. He saw all kinds of superpowers. It was the first time he saw this superpower that could give him animal attributes. Even his appearance could change. It was really magical. He could also feel the strength of this person. In his eyes, the level of the early Emperor level was like an ant. Pace looked at Ling Feng's calm face and was very angry. His deterrence was actually useless, which made him feel that he had no face. "Boy, go to hell!" Pace roared, and his whole figure disappeared in an instant. He was very fast, and his body rushed towards Ling Feng in an extremely weird posture. His body was like a snake, parallel to the ground, and he rushed towards Ling Feng on the opposite side. Ling Feng's expression did not change, and he directly used his mental power to control Pace. Pace floated in the air uncontrollably, unable to move. Pace looked at Ling Feng in horror. He found that he had lost control of his body. "What did you do to me?" Chapter 237. Ling Feng walked to the front of Pace and observed him carefully, hoping to find the secret of his body. Sister Xia, who was far away, was shocked to see that her capable general was easily controlled by Ling Feng. She didn't expect that this young man was so strong. She originally thought that this young man was just the second generation of a big power, and the most difficult one should be the white-haired old man behind him. Now it seems that she was wrong. The person opposite is definitely not an ordinary person. Who are you? From that power. Sister Xia looked at Ling Feng with a gloomy face. Ling Feng from the God of War base. Ling Feng said lightly. You are Ling Feng. Sister Xia's pupils shrank slightly, and her expression was obviously much more solemn. Their team came late, and they had never seen Ling Feng before, but he had heard Ling Feng's name from other people. You are the Ling Feng who made Long Out Yin kneel in public and killed 2 Emperor-level strongmen from the Yinchuan Miao family. Miao Xiaocui, who was standing in the distance watching the battle, looked extremely ugly. The reputation of the Miao family was completely spread, but it was a bad reputation. Ling Feng nodded without comment. Sister Xia's eyes flickered slightly, and she was really terrified. I didn't expect to run into a tough guy today. It seems that it will be difficult to get this exotic fruit today. Sister Xia put on a flattering smile and said, So it's Commander Ling Feng. I'm so sorry. I really offended you just now. I apologize to you here. How about this? You let me, your subordinate, go, and we divide these 6 exotic fruits equally. Sister Xia looked at Ling Feng expectantly after saying this. Ling Feng shook his head nonchalantly. Not so good. I want all these exotic fruits. This guy must die today. If you cut off one of your arms, I can consider letting you go. Sister Xia's face darkened instantly. Ling Feng, are you really not going to give me any face? She had been very humble to discuss with Ling Feng, but she didn't expect to be insulted in return. She was from one of the 5 great immortal families, and her status was no worse than that of the Miao family, but she was humiliated like this. I really can't stand it. Your face? What qualifications do you have to talk about face in front of me? Ling Feng said coldly. Then he lightly tapped his finger, and Pace instantly turned into a ball of blood mist with an explosion. Ling Feng took the inner pill left by Pace, took a simple look, and put it directly into his own space. Sister Xia looked at Ling Feng with anger on her face. This guy was so arrogant, killing his younger brother in front of her. This was simply slapping her in the face. Okay. Sister Xia laughed in anger and said 3 okay words in a row. Ling Feng, you will regret it. There are more than 100 strong men from our 5 major immortal families coming to the Creation Mountain this time. You will pay a heavy price for this. Ling Feng looked at her with disdain. Really? I'll give you a chance to call people. Call all the people you can call. I can let you live a little longer. Sister Xia stared at Ling Feng coldly. You are really arrogant. You think you can do whatever you want after killing a few Emperor-level strongmen. Young people don't know how to hide their shortcomings. Be careful of being broken. Ling Feng looked at Sister Xia impatiently and said, You talk too much nonsense. Ling Feng waved his hand, and a powerful force instantly crushed towards Sister Xia's dozen subordinates. More than a dozen subordinates didn't even have time to react, and were instantly beaten into a pile of minced meat by the powerful force. Sister Xia's expression changed drastically, and a chill rushed straight to his head. How could this Ling Feng be so terrifying? More than a dozen strong men were killed in an instant. What kind of strength is he? How could he be so strong? The Miao family members who were watching the battle from a distance were even more stunned. The shock Ling Feng brought to them was too strong. There were indeed several Emperor-level strong men among the group of people killed by him, but they were still killed in an instant. Miao Xiaocui was relieved at this time. Fortunately, I made the right decision yesterday. Although my reputation was not good, at least I saved my life. If I had chosen to fight Ling Feng yesterday, I would probably have been wiped out directly. On the field, Ling Feng glanced at Sister Xia and said indifferently, I'll give you one last chance to call someone, otherwise I will do it directly. Sister Xia looked pale, trembling as she took out a mobile phone from her closed pocket and started to make a few calls one by one. I have already called, and they will be here soon. Ling Feng nodded slightly and walked towards the direction of the foreign country. Sister Xia looked at Ling Feng's back, and a trace of resentment flashed through her eyes. Ling Feng came to the front of the strange fruit and squatted down. He carefully observed the body several times. At this moment, the change was prominent. A red figure suddenly rushed out of one of the strange fruits like lightning. Because Ling Feng was close to the strange fruit, the red figure came to Ling Feng almost instantly, leaving him no time to react. The red figure stopped only 5 centimeters away from Ling Feng. Ling Feng looked at the red snake that was still struggling in front of him. The snake was only 5 centimeters long, a circle smaller than chopsticks, and its color was very close to that of the strange fruit. If you don't look carefully, you can't see the true color. Lin Geng judged from the teeth of the snake that this snake should be a venomous snake, and it seemed that the venom was very strong. There were still snakes in this cold weather. It must be a strange beast. This is because Ling Feng's physical fitness is against the sky, so he can avoid his attack. If it were someone else at such a close distance, I'm afraid they would have been killed directly. Zheng Sanbao looked at it carefully for a few seconds, frowned, and said, "This is a green water spirit snake. It is extremely poisonous, very good at hiding, and extremely fast. A saint-level strongman will die if bitten by it. If the green water spirit snake is one of the most dangerous beasts in the Creation Mountain. Many superpowers have been killed by the green water spirit snake's sneak attack before." Sister Xia suddenly broke out in a cold sweat and was very grateful in her heart that she was lucky enough not to touch the strange fruit. She heard Zheng Sanbao talking about the green water spirit snake just now. If she was closer to the strange fruit just now, she would definitely not be able to avoid the attack of the green water spirit snake. Ling Feng looked at the little thing in front of him and didn't expect it to be so lethal. If Sister Xia had just reached out to pick it, she might have died of poison now. After watching for a while, Ling Feng directly used the gravity field to press the green water spirit snake into a meat pie and threw it aside casually. The snake was too small, and its crystal core was also very small, so Ling Feng was too lazy to take it. Ling Feng carefully pulled up the entire exotic fruit with its roots and put it into his own space. Sister Xia watched as her exotic fruit, which was about to be obtained, was taken away by Ling Feng, and she was filled with resentment. Chapter 238. Ling Feng took out a strange fruit from the space and observed it carefully. After the upgrade, the strange fruit had no special effect. He handed the strange fruit in his hand to Zheng Sanbao. Zheng Sanbao looked at Ling Feng with surprise. "What is this, Mr. Ling?" "It's for you. Your current strength has reached the peak level of the Emperor level. After taking this strange fruit, you should be able to reach the level of the Saint level," Ling Feng said with a smile. Zheng Sanbao's expression was moved, and he said with gratitude, "Mr. Ling, you are so good to me." Aye. Zheng Sanbao was so excited that he was a little incoherent and didn't know what to say. Ling Feng waved his hand. Okay, you eat it now. Your strength will be improved, and you can help me better." Zheng Sanbao nodded heavily, holding the strange fruit carefully in his hands, showing an excited look. He has been stuck at the peak of the Emperor level for a long time and has not been able to make any further progress. Today he can finally break through. Zheng Sanbao licked his lips and ate the exotic fruit in 2 or 3 bites. Then he felt a huge energy hidden in his body. He quickly sat down cross-legged and began to slowly absorb this energy. About 20 minutes later, Zheng Sanbao was still breaking through with his eyes closed. In the distance, a team of nearly 100 people came towards this side in a mighty manner, and everyone had a murderous look on their faces. "Finally here," Ling Feng whispered. Sister Xia was delighted to see that her allies had arrived. They all came, and she also saw a super strong man among them, who was also the highest combat power of their 5 major immortals this time, Mr. Mo. But Mr. Mo was very low-key at this time, hiding in the crowd and inconspicuous. At the front of the team, the leaders of the 5 major immortals walked side by side, with a strong sense of oppression. The 5 great immortals are very united, and have always been together in advance and retreat, and share happiness. In the entire northern region, although the strength of the 5 great immortals is not the strongest, no one dares to provoke them, because they are united enough. "Who bullies us, the 5 great immortals?" a short man with sly eyes said. When the man was talking, his eyes kept rolling around, and he was a very cunning person. Sister Xia took advantage of Ling Feng's inattention and ran quickly towards the large group. She fell down halfway because she was too nervous. Sister Xia started crying as soon as she came to the leaders. "Brothers, you are finally here. If you come a few minutes later, you will never see me again," Sister Xia said while wiping her tears. "Are all Pace dead?" A man who looked a bit like Pace asked angrily. Sister Xia nodded with a sad look. "It's my fault that I didn't protect my brother Pace, causing him to be beaten into a bloody mist by Ling Feng. And not even a complete corpse was left. Taizan, I'm sorry for you." The man named Taizan was trembling all over, and his eyes were full of murderous intent. Pace was his biological twin brother, and the two had a deep relationship. He had loved him very much since he was a child, but he didn't expect that his beloved brother would be brutally murdered. "Is he Ling Feng?" Taizan pointed at Ling Feng and asked coldly. Sister Xia nodded, then pulled Taizan, who wanted to rush out, and said earnestly, "Taizan, don't be impulsive. This Ling Feng is very strong. You are not his opponent." At this time, Taizan couldn't listen to Sister Xia's words at all. His mind was full of revenge, and the hatred of killing his brother was irreconcilable. Taizan suddenly broke away from Sister Xia's obstruction and ran quickly to Ling Feng. "You killed my brother?" Taizan gritted his teeth and said. Ling Feng was slightly stunned and suddenly realized what was going on when he saw his familiar face. "Your brother is a bald man, right? I beat him to death. Right here." Ling Feng pointed to a pool of blood on the ground that had merged with the ground. "Come and wipe it with a towel. This is the only thing he has left in this world, just to keep it as a memory," Ling Feng said with a mocking look on his face. "You are looking for death," Taishan said with a sullen face. Ling Feng smiled disdainfully. "Your brother took the initiative to attack me, so it is reasonable for me to kill him. If you also attack me, it is reasonable for me to kill you. Come and die." Taishan roared and quickly rushed towards Ling Feng, and at the same time his figure began to slowly change. His ability is the same as his brother Pace's, and it is also related to snakes, but his ability is obviously much stronger than his brother's, because Ling Feng felt in him the cold breath of snakes. Moreover, a layer of light snake scales appeared on Tieshan's skin, and his whole face became more and more like a huge snake head. His pupils turned blood red at this time, which looked very scary. Taizan moved his hands slightly, and two short blades appeared in his hands. The short blades were all black. Each short blade had been soaked in venom for a month, which could be said to be fatal. Tieshan's legs were like the wind, and his figure was erratic like a ghost. In an instant, he was behind Ling Feng. He held the short blades and swung them at Ling Feng's neck from left to right. Ling Feng stood in place, without dodging or evading, as if he was fixed. Taizan saw that Ling Feng did not dodge, and a cruel smile flashed across his face. The people of the 5 great immortal families who were watching the battle from a distance were also delighted. They did not expect that Ling Feng would not dodge or evade. With this knife, as long as Ling Feng was cut through a layer of skin, he would definitely die. This Ling Feng is still too arrogant. A look of relief flashed across Sister Xia's face. If Ling Feng died, she would be completely safe and no longer have to worry. Just when everyone was happy, an incredible scene appeared. Just when the broken blade in Tieshan's hand was about to touch Ling Feng suddenly disappeared out of thin air. Tieshan's attack was in vain. His face froze. He began to look around. "I'm here." A cold voice sounded in Tieshan's ears. Tieshan's face suddenly changed, and he immediately looked around, but did not find any figure. "Where are you? Come out quickly." Taizan swung the short blade randomly and shouted angrily. "I'm here." Ling Feng's voice came again. Ling Feng used the effect of invisibility to stand by Taizan and watch, constantly stimulating him with words, while also testing the effect of invisibility. "Asshole, come out quickly. Fight me openly if you have the guts." Taizan was almost driven crazy by Ling Feng at this moment. Ling Feng kept teasing him, making him feel like a clown. The rest of the 5 immortal families looked solemn. Chapter 239. "I'm out now. What can you do?" Ling Feng instantly appeared in front of Taishan and grabbed his neck with his right hand and lifted it up high. Taishan didn't know when Ling Feng appeared, and then he found that his neck was tightly stuck and he couldn't move. You're cheating? Taishan's face flushed, and he tried hard to open his eyes, but found that no matter how hard he tried, it was useless. Be careful in your next life. Not everyone can afford to offend you. After Ling Feng finished speaking, a ball of green fire instantly appeared in his hand. Taishan looked terrified, and he was burned to ashes before he could speak. The people of the 5 great immortal families in the distance were sweating profusely. Taishan's strength was considered to be a relatively powerful person among their group, but it was still not enough in front of Ling Feng. Looking at Ling Feng's expression, Taishan was burned to ashes without much effort. Does anyone else want to avenge him? Ling Feng said in a cold voice. The people of the 5 great immortal families were all silent, not daring to speak. They all turned their eyes to the strongest person in the team, Mr. M.O. Mr. M.O. felt the gazes of the crowd, and his expression was slightly cold. He didn't want to show up. Ling Feng's strength was not even his opponent, but as the only saint-level strongman here, he was in a dilemma and had to come out to preside over the overall situation. Mr. M.O. sighed slightly and slowly walked out of the crowd. He made a friendly gesture to Ling Feng, leaned forward slightly, and kept a low posture, trying not to make things so difficult. Chief Ling, I am the leader of the 5 great immortal families this time. The juniors just offended you a lot. I apologize for them here. The others looked at Mr. M.O. in surprise. They didn't expect Mr. M.O. to take the initiative to admit his weakness right away. They thought there would be a shocking battle, but the result was unexpected. Ling Feng was also a little surprised. This old guy was the strongest among all the people he had seen so far. He had a strong aura and was not a simple person. I didn't expect him to be defeated without a fight and chose to surrender. Ling Feng's expression eased, and he said lightly, Finally, there is a reasonable person among your 5 great immortal families. How do you plan to deal with this matter? Old M.O. pondered for a while, and a trace of cruelty flashed in his eyes. Xiao Xia, come here. Old M.O. shouted to Sister Xia with a gloomy look. Sister Xia trembled, and a bad thought flashed in her mind. Judging from old Mo's appearance, this matter might not be so easy to deal with. Sister Xia walked to Mr. M.O. with an unnatural look on her face and whispered, Mr. M.O., what do you want from me? Mr. M.O. said coldly, This incident started because of you. The 5 great immortal families lost more than a dozen strong men. You provoked the wrong people and caused the current situation. The only solution is that you die to apologize, and Ling Feng will let us go. Otherwise, none of us can leave today. Sister Xia's mind went blank when she heard this, and she was terrified. He really didn't want to die. She was just glad that she could escape today. She didn't expect Mr. M.O. to be so cruel and use his life to exchange for everyone's safety. Sister Xia laughed bitterly and looked at Ling Feng's face full of resentment. Ling Feng, I won't let you go. I won't let you go even if I become a ghost. Mr. M.O., who was standing next to Sister Xia, changed his expression and stretched out his palm directly, slapping Sister Xia on the head. Sister Xia screamed. Her whole face instantly stained with blood, and then she slowly fell down in unwillingness. A trace of heartache flashed in M.O. Lao's eyes. These were all his juniors. How could he not feel distressed when he killed his juniors with his own hands? But for the sake of the overall situation, he could only kill them. The leaders of the 5 major immortal families bowed their heads and said nothing, with aggrieved and resentful eyes. When have they ever suffered such humiliation? They killed their own people in exchange for the enemy's leniency, but in order to survive, they could only endure it silently today. Miao Xiaozui's pupils also shrank slightly. She didn't expect this old guy to be so cruel. He killed his own people, as he said. He was really decisive. There was such a person in the 5 major immortal families. He really couldn't be underestimated. Chief Ling, are you satisfied with this result? M.O. Lao said respectfully. Ling Feng nodded slightly. The matter has been resolved to this point. If he pressed on step by step, it would seem that he was petty. Let's stop here. You can leave now, Ling Feng said, and ignored them. Mo Lao secretly breathed a sigh of relief and turned to the nearly 100 strong men from the 5 major immortal families and said in a deep voice, "Everyone leave here immediately. If you have anything to say, go back and talk about it." Old Mo led the way with an ugly face, and the others also left with a dejected look. Miao Xiaotsui, who was watching the show here, also left with her subordinates with a solemn look. Ling Feng can't be provoked. You will never know where his strength limit is. It is best to stay away from him when you see him. This is the conclusion drawn by Miao Xiaotsui. On the other side, after the people of the 5 major immortals left, they quickly gathered in a remote valley. Old Mo, are we going to let this matter go? Can you really swallow this breath? A man in a mink coat said with hatred. Old Mo closed his eyes slightly and said indifferently, Ling Feng is very strong. I am not his opponent, otherwise we will all die. The mink man was full of resentment and said dissatisfiedly, if we don't take revenge, who among the brothers will dare to work for us in the future? If we can't even protect our own brothers, how can we survive in the future? Mo Lao frowned slightly and said in a cold tone, You know nothing. I am doing this for the safety of everyone. Fighting bravely is just a cowardly courage. Even if you want revenge, you have to plan it out. Mo Lao, do you have a plan? The man with shifty eyes asked curiously. Mo Lao touched his white beard and said in a deep voice, If Ling Feng wants to deal with him, we can't rely on ourselves. We must find a powerful ally. Long Out Yin from Longping Base was insulted by Ling Feng in public, and he must want to kill Ling Feng. We can go to him to form an alliance. Everyone's face lit up. Yes, why didn't I think of it? The people in Longping Base are very powerful. If our 2 families unite and set a trap for Ling Feng, we can definitely kill this bastard. One of the team leaders clapped his hands and said excitedly, I will contact the people at the Longping Base now. I think they will be happy to cooperate. A strange color flashed in Mo Lao's eyes. Chapter 240. At this time, on the battlefield on the other side, people from several major forces were gathering together, with hundreds of people from several families. Each of them was a well-known existence. The personnel from the 4 major forces, Shadow Building, Baishui Sect, Xiangxi Ma Family, and Longping Base, all gathered in a small valley at this moment. Across from them was a 10-meter-long white giant tiger. The giant tiger was a terrifying 2 meters tall, with a pair of extremely intimidating eyes staring at the outsiders not far away, ready to strike fiercely at any time. Behind the giant tiger were 3 huge exotic trees, each of which was full of exotic fruits. According to a rough estimate, there were at least hundreds of them. Each fruit was the size of a fist, and the fruit was red all over, exuding bursts of fragrance, which made everyone present excited. The leaders of the 4 forces sat together at this time, discussing how to kill the giant tiger and how to distribute these exotic fruits. Long Out Yin looked at the leaders of the other 3 forces and said proudly, My Longping Base has brought the most people and is the strongest. We want to take 1/3 of the exotic fruits. Do you have any objections? Fu Sheng of Baishui Sect looked a little dissatisfied and said, This place was first discovered by Baishui Sect, and this action was also initiated by us. I think our Baishui Sect should take the remaining 1/3. Although there are not many people in our shadow building, we are extremely good at assassination and sneak attacks, and will play an important role in this action. Qian Wuchang, the leader of shadow building, was covered in a black veil and could not see any changes in his expression, but it was obvious from his tone that he was somewhat dissatisfied with this distribution plan. Is Ma Fei of the Xiangxi Ma family silent? He is the weakest person among the 4 forces and has no right to bargain. He is satisfied with just getting some exotic fruits. Faced with the explosive dialogue between the other 3 families, Ma Fei chose to remain silent. Anyway, no matter what, the ultimate winner will not be himself. Long Out Yin frowned slightly. It was obvious that Shadow Building and Baishui cult did not want to give in and wanted to take the lion's share. This Genesis Mountain was his territory in Jiangnan Province. He would never allow other forces to take too many exotic fruits from him. How about this? Let's get rid of this tiger first, and then discuss the distribution, Long Outyin suggested. Fu Sheng of Baishui cult nodded in agreement. Now the exotic fruits have not been obtained, and it is not known how many casualties there will be. It is not too late to discuss it after the exotic fruits are obtained. Qian Wuchang of Shadow Building also agreed to this plan. Judging from the size of this giant tiger, he is very likely to be a peak emperor-level exotic beast. In addition, he is a tiger, very aggressive, and indeed difficult to deal with. I think we should send some people to test his strength first. Long Outyin said slowly. We will send out 10 people from Longping Base, and the other several families will send out the same number of people to conduct the first round of attack. Long Outyin, as the most powerful force, proposed his own decision, as if he was a leader. Although they were dissatisfied, after all, this was his territory and he was strong, so there was no need to make things difficult for him, so they could only agree with his opinion. Soon, a vanguard team of 40 people composed of 4 forces was formed. Most of them were superpowered people, and a few were king-level power people. After all, this group of people were used as cannon fodder, and it was impossible for them to send out their own high-level combat forces. The 40 vanguard members dispersed their combat forces and approached the giant tiger with a nervous look. A trace of disdain flashed in the giant tiger's eyes. He paced around a few times, always paying attention to the movements of this group of people. The leaders of the 4 major forces also closely watched everything on the field, trying to find the flaws of the giant tiger and make plans for the next attack. The vanguard soon came to a distance of 10 meters from the white tiger and gradually formed an encirclement. Action! A king-level warrior shouted in a low voice. All the people instantly moved and quickly attacked the giant tiger. Their abilities were varied. Some were strange fire, some were strength amplification, and some were holding a big knife to greet the giant tiger. The giant tiger's body was tense, and its limbs instantly revealed sharp claws, and each claw emitted bursts of cold light. Roar! The giant tiger suddenly let out a tiger roar. The huge sound resounded throughout the valley, causing several leaders who were farther away to feel a tingling in their eardrums and short-term hearing loss. The vanguards who were closer to the giant tiger were even worse. More than a dozen people were in the giant tiger opposite the tiger. The sound attack of the giant tiger directly shocked more than a dozen people to the point of bleeding from all 7 orifices and dying. Others were not feeling well either. They fell to the ground one by one, covering their heads with ferocious expressions. The sound attack of the giant tiger caused a huge impact on their brains and made them feel very uncomfortable. The giant tiger walked leisurely to the front of one of the injured and fallen king-level strongmen, opened his bloody mouth, and actually bit directly into his mouth. The king-level superpower screamed a few times in the giant tiger's mouth and finally stopped making any sound. The giant tiger chewed his tongue, making a crackling sound, which made everyone present feel numb. The giant tiger ate a king-level strongman in 3 or 2 bites, and then swallowed all the other team members one after another. The giant tiger licked his mouth, cleaned the broken meat and residue at the corner of his mouth, looked at the human opposite with a provocative look, and a bloodthirsty light flashed in his big eyes. This beast is so abominable. Long Outyin clenched his fists. His expression was cold, and he was extremely indignant. Although the people he sent out were all used as cannon fodder, this giant tiger actually ate them alive in front of all of them and used them as food. This was unacceptable to him. It seems that this giant tiger is not easy to deal with. The roar can kill 40 of us. Fu Sheng frowned slightly and said with a gloomy face, "It seems that we still have to use high-end combat power. The king-level superpowers have no resistance in front of him." Qian Wuchang said with an extremely solemn expression, "I will send another 50 dragon guards. Although they are all king-level strength, they cooperate very well, and they also have hot weapons specifically for superpowers. The strength is enough to fight against the emperor-level strongmen." Long Outyin continued to send out his ace team, which is also his trump card. "I will also send out an emperor-level warrior. I will send out an ace hunter to launch a sneak attack on the giant tiger. I will also send out an emperor-level warrior." The other three major forces also sent out their own high-level combat forces to prepare for a second round of attacks on the giant tiger.